Hey, everybody, welcome to Little Monsters Movie Podcast.
A group.
And, of course, that's Ted and I'm Dino. And we are doing something a little bit different this week.
We're just having fun.
We're having fun. Every now and then we did a Pink Panther a while back. We're doing it. You know what? You tell us what we're doing.
It's a mad world.
It certainly
is. It's just four mads.
4 mads.
1963. This was and is the epic comedy film.
It's got every comedian of the era.
From the time, yeah. A lot of them were just radio comedians, silent film stars.
You'll have some just show up, for a second.
They're like the Three Stooges. They don't even have any lines. It just pans right across them. Here's the Stooges, and then goes back.
And Jack Benny drives up, and he goes, oh, well. You know, I mean, so...
Jerry Lewis, lots of old-time actors, and the main stars of the movie are Milton Berle, Sid Caesar.
Yeah. The group, the core
Mickey
that starts this movie off, yeah.
What's his name? Buddy Hackett.
Buddy Hackett, yeah. And Jonathan Winters.
Who is one of my... the movie.
Oh, he's one of my... actually, back then, he's up there. Don Rickles, Jonathan Winters, they're way up there with...
Spencer Tracy.
You know, yeah. Well, then you got...
We're saying a bunch of names that no one that watches our show probably knows.
What the heck?
Who? I told a girl at work, because one of the... my co-workers, you know, she knows we do the podcast, and I mentioned the movie we're doing. It's like, it's an awesome one. I told her it's from '63, and she's a young girl. She's like 19. I don't watch movies from the 1960s. I was like, why?
You know what?
I wasn't born until, what? I was like, so what?
I wasn't born in the 40s, but
really
that's some of my favorite movies.
Is this really a thing where people just won't watch movies before a certain time just because they're old? Just because they're old? I think it's a thing.
No, I think
with some younger kids.
I think with a lot. Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, but you know what? There's a select few. There's a group of people like these people watching us.
Okay.
There's the young
horror fans are a little different. We delve back.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm talking, just the average people out there. I think there's a lot of younger people out there that just won't watch a movie because it's old, or it's black and white.
Yeah.
And I don't get that at all.
Bing! What the heck was that?
Bing, bong,
Anyways,
bong.
yeah, yeah. It's yeah. Certain people just. But like I said, I think there's a group of people out there who, like me. I mean, I go back to the old stuff. I
grew up watching a lot of these.
When
this is how we spent family time. We would watch these old films.
If you're into the whole movie thing and you're on YouTube watching what we do and stuff like that, they're the hardcore, even the younger kids. So they'll look at these older movies from the 60s, 50s. They'll look at them because I think they appreciate the cinema more. I mean, so I really do think they're out there. So,
entertainment these days just seems so disposable. You go see the latest superhero movie or whatever, action movie or whatever. They're so disposable, whereas this was an event movie. So, for instance, they all hyped up...
Epic event movie.
Right.
I mean...
So, they hyped up, like, Tarantino's new movie, Hateful Eight. I mean, I saw it. This Roadshow version, they were talking about 70 millimeter, overture, intermission, program that they give you. And I know a lot of you probably went to go see that. I did. And this was one of those movies that he was modeling his experience for. This was one of those roadshow movies that, a movie didn't just open wide across the country. A lot of times it was a special event movie like Ben-Hur or this film or Gone with the Wind. And it would go city to city to city. You got dressed up. You went out to dinner. You had tickets ahead of time.
The good old days when it really meant something for a movie to come out. It was
a night out. It was a fancy night out.
Yeah.
And these movies, these big ultra Panavision, big epic movies, were designed to get people out of their houses because TV was, a thing. Oh, yeah. And it was taking people away from the movies. And so, you churn out lots of cheapos, but every once in a while, studios had to put out a big, epic film with lots of stars, lots of effects.
And this has it, man.
Right.
Comedy-wise.
To get people into the theaters.
Unbelievable.
And this is a...
But the Hateful Eight, I heard that's not doing that great.
Well...
Unfortunately.
I thought it opened his mouth about police and stuff like that. And if you watch that movie, you can see some of his attitudes about that coming through.
But
and
the
I'm not
movie
saying,
is
I don't think anybody's necessarily saying some of what he's saying is wrong, you know, but as soon as you start saying something against particular groups, you know, it's just going to come back to get you. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a Tarantino movie. Tarantino fans will go see it.
I think I
don't think it's the best thing he's ever done.
I think
it's
his
very
genre,
talky.
Oh, I love it. I mean,
I liked it. Yes, but for the 70 millimeter, the big epic scope, it kind of everybody was just kind of inside a building all the time. I felt like you didn't get to maximize the use of that 70 millimeter. You know, let me see some sweeping vistas or you know, big action scenes and things like that. It was people in a cabin talking for 3 hours.
That's true.
And not that I have a problem with that because I love his dialogue.
Oh yeah,
you know, all his movies are at least worth a watch. Oh. So some of them are worth more than a watch.
I think he's the Woody Allen of his genre. He seems to be like kind of blacklisting himself. Because of his views and his all, you know, because he's forking out great stuff and he has for you, but he's kind of opening in his mouth and he kind of limits his audience and you know,
people who I know when I went to go see the film it was packed. When my sister went to go see the film it was packed, sold out. People who want to go see it are going to go see it. Right. So, but I guess what I was not meaning to digress away from this movie because this movie is already long enough as it is. This film,
if you go to Criterion, it's 3 hours and 17.
Right. Yeah, let's talk about
the extended one.
Because this film is notorious for having several different cuts. The Roadshow version ran a little over 3 hours long, and that's how Roadshow movies were back then in the '60s. You know, it was Gone with the Wind, 3.5 hours. Ben-Hur, 3.5 hours, and you know it was a big long movie. You had the overture,
curtain call.
Hit the lights, this is it. And you had an intermission, you had, you know, like I said, the program, you had exit music. It was a big friggin'
It's like going to the theater, but yeah.
Basically, that's what they tried to make it out to be. And as the Roadshow version finished, then they would create a general release version. And sometimes even without the director's input, they would cut scenes out. And this film... If you look at any of the history on this particular film, it's Mad, 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 Mad World. It's got several different cuts, and every time they found a little bit of footage, they would release it. There's a couple different VHS versions. Some of them are longer. Some of them are longer than this version that we're going to do today. Then Criterion, the kind of like boutique DVD Blu-ray label that I'm sure most of you know.
They sell lingerie and stuff too.
Do they?
The boutique
with the little C's on them. Well, that's what they call those kinds of companies, boutique labels. And they hooked up with Richard Harris.
We're gonna come up with a word of the day.
Word of the day, like Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
And then scream real loud.
Yeah. What should we do? Should it be digress?
I don't know. Digress. Woo! Today's word is
today's
digress.
word is digress.
For the rest of the day, if anybody says the secret word, scream real loud.
Oh man!
But Richard Harris is a film historian, and he worked with the studios to find as much missing footage as they could find.
And he did, and
about 3 hours worth.
Didn't he tape it and glue it all together?
I don't know what he scotch taped it, stapled gun, whatever he had to use.
Because if you watch it, I mean, some of them are like you said, stills.
Because all they have is the sound. Some of them was from Japanese editions of the version. There's Japanese subtitles, and some of the quality is just, most of what's in. I mean, I'll always say more of this movie is a good thing.
No, actually, with the stills and the bad, quality and stuff like that, it was better because you saw a lot more of the interactions between the scenes and stuff like that.
Nothing. So I don't think anything that was cut is vital. But more is just great in this movie. Yeah. And some of the quality of the film is so degraded. Like, it's really noticeable when you're watching it. You know, when those new scenes pop up, like the film just turns brown. So for this series, we're going to do the general release 163-minute version. Yeah. This is the version that you can readily buy on DVD and Blu-ray. If you buy the Criterion version, it comes with both. The 3 hour version is kind of like an extra. It's not considered the feature. Yeah. So I guess this would be, as far as right now, the definitive version. At least I think that the director was involved in. So you got to get it. And this was directed by Richard Kramer, who is not known for comedies. He did more serious films, socially, poignant films for the times. Yeah. And this was his first stab at comedy, and not only did he succeed, it was a very successful movie, and I think it's the epic comedy film. What else comes close to touching this?
Yeah, no.
I mean, what movies are considered funny these days? I don't even know.
Well, not funny, but I think this kind of goes... You think this is somewhat Cannonball Run kind of thing with all the I mean, because this is pretty much from the beginning of the movie to the end, it's a race in their vehicles, planes, whatever.
Planes, bicycles, walking.
to get to, what they need to get to, the money. So... you can throw, I think, Cannonball Run up there with like kind of the same style.
I guess when I say epic, I go by length.
But no, Cannonball Run ain't epic,
right? But stars. But you're right. The amount of cameos and stars in a film, and just the overall scope, from one place to the next place, and I think this is. Masterfully edited together just to keep all the different people and characters and storylines together. Yeah, I mean, the editing is great.
To have Milton Berle, Sid Caesar, Buddy Hackett, Ethel Merman, Mickey Rooney, Dick Shawns, Phil Silvers,
Jonathan Winters.
So to have all these people and the main characters, and then to throw all these other people around them, even like the guy in the gas station. We'll get to all this once we start rolling. Yeah. He was on Alice, Alice's Diner, who probably nobody knows what I'm talking about.
He was the phone repair guy. Or I can't remember his name. But
he come in. He's got that voice. He talks. There's
Don Knotts, Jerry Lewis, Jack Benny, Peter Falk, Columbo, Spencer Tracy, Academy Award-winning actor.
Yes.
These were big names. This was a big deal to get all these people, and there were so many people that they wanted to get that they didn't get. So,
right? Yeah. I mean,
we're not really gonna. I don't think we're gonna get a whole lot of like backstory info. We're just gonna talk about the movie and laugh our asses off. I think. So the film starts off after a long overture and introduction.
And it's long. I mean, it starts off with it's all just a black screen and music.
Right. And the film starts off on a winding mountain road in Southern California, and you see a guy just speeding in and out of traffic, and eventually ends up running off the road and crashing. And I gotta say, the first laugh of the movie for me is Milton Berle, because he does this like 6 times. He's like, did you see the way that guy just he sailed? And he always does it. He sailed off there, and it's almost like he's getting his jollies off.
Yeah,
Did you see it? He just.
Yeah, he really was very. Yeah, he was observant. He saw what was going on.
But it's him. He pulls over in his car, Milton Berle, and he's got his wife and mother-in-law, the textbook horrible mother-in-law.
Yes.
In the car with him.
Yeah, doesn't want
right. You've
anything
got
to do with him, really,
Mickey Rooney and Buddy Hackett together.
Yes.
They're friends on their way to Vegas.
In a little Beetlebug car.
You've got
because their vehicle's kind of...
And I can't remember the name that his wife plays, but she is one of the foxiest women I've ever seen.
Sid Caesar's wife?
The one that plays his wife in this movie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh,
so you're digging the 60s chick
She's
there, huh?
gorgeous. You wait till they show her.
Well, yeah, you're right, Harry House.
I love those time chicks. I love that old style.
See, that's what I'm like with the 20s and the 40s girls.
All through. Man, some
very sophisticated, beautiful, because they took the time to dress up and not to say there's not some hot girls out there today, but I mean, when you're talking about
you didn't need to show so much back then,
right?
I'm talking
the beauty,
face, hair,
and who's the guy that the car launches over, it crashes?
Jimmy Durante.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Winters. We've got Jonathan Winters.
He's in a big truck.
Furniture mover.
Yeah, he's in a big truck.
So they all stop. They're looking down there going, oh my God, and there's Milton Berle. Did you see the way that guy just... And they all go down there to see if he's okay. And they find him.
Funny as heck, because...
Jimmy Durante.
The car's all over. Jimmy Durante, if you know who this guy is, he's like kind of flung over on a bunch of rocks.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
With like beer cans and stuff, just like they set it all up with and he's just laying there.
And I love how the guy Sid Caesar plays a dentist, and he says, I'm not a doctor, but I have some medical experience. I'm a dentist. Are you hurt real bad? He just looks around the other guys. Is he kidding?
I know, he's like,
is he kidding?
He's like, I'm dying here.
I mean, the car flipped over 17 times. Is he kidding?
That's what's funny about this too, because he's got no blood or anything,
not a scratch on him,
and he's prolonging his death so long so he can get the story out.
He's telling them about, he knows he's dying, he feels it coming, and he tells them.
And he keeps lifting his body too to say, let me tell you.
And I love his voice. He's the guy that does the beginning. If you ever watch the old Frosty the Snowman cartoon, he's the one who sings the song at the beginning. The guy with the big bulbous nose.
Snowman.
Yeah, that's Jimmy Durante.
Yeah, that's him.
And he's got but he tells them about some money that is hidden, $350,000, and he tells them, you know what? I'm giving it to you. Go dig it up. I'm telling you where it is. And go,
but he's telling
set
them
yourselves up real good.
Yeah, he's also telling them, don't let them tell you.
Don't let them
mine. Don't let,
don't let the bulls get you. The bulls are everywhere. And he tells, it's under a big W. And he doesn't tell them anything more than that.
No.
He couldn't tell them it's what the W stood for or whatever. It's a big W. A big W.
But meanwhile, he keeps setting himself up like, this is it. And then he gets up again.
He jumps back.
Yeah,
Tell me it don't make no difference. You think he's talking like he's talking to his Aunt Belle. Aunt Belle, you gotta say it. Say it don't make no difference. And they're like, tell him for God's sake. Tell him. So Sid Caesar's like, it don't make no difference.
And he then finally dies, yeah.
Oh, and then what does he do? He kicks the bucket. There's a bucket right there, and his foot just straightens out and kicks.
Goes flying down the hill. Ding, 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 ding. But there's no blood.
Here's Jonathan Winters. That guy's dead.
That guy's dead. And somebody says, who says?
I think Buddy Hackett says it. Yeah,
should cover him up. Yeah, Buddy Hackett's got kind of a voice like this too. These comedians back then. If you guys haven't dealt with these comedians in this era,
classics,
50s, 60s.
This is where those guys get their stuff now.
Yeah, they are just classic.
Shoot me, Kurt. What are you looking at me, guy? I just got this sweater.
Mickey Rooney with his red sweater.
Buddy Hackett's like, but if he jumps up again, I'm getting the hell out of here. But then the cops immediately show up.
And you know who the cop is?
Norman Fell,
Mr. Roper from Three's Company.
Do they know that show? I don't know. Do you know that show, Mr. Roper?
I'm throwing it out there. You guys can look it up.
Mr. Roper was great.
Mr. Roper and Mrs. Roper. Mr. Roper never wanted anything to do with Mrs. Roper. He would always say he had the
headache. Woman.
She was, and they're probably in Three's Company. We're talking. They were probably 50s, early 50s, whatever. But she would always go, Stanley. And he's going, and he'd always go, I got a headache. And then he'd go, and look right at the camera and just give you that smirk.
We have every season of Three's Company at home. My wife.
So do I.
I love that show.
Awesome.
Although I kind of think I like Don Knotts.
Mr. Furley.
It's hard to pick between the two.
Yeah. Well,
because the Ropers left, and then Don Knotts, who's also in this movie for a moment, his character takes over as Ralph Furley as the new manager of the apartment building, and
he's
it's
great
hard
too.
to pick both. I mean, they're both really great.
If I had to nail one down, I'd say the Ropers,
probably, because
it was earlier. Classic Three's Company.
When they left,
it was always good though.
When Three's Company, pretty much from beginning to end.
When Lana came in, the horny lady upstairs who constantly wanted Jack Tripper.
Yeah,
I know.
The later seasons maybe not as much, but for the most part, it was pretty consistently good. I thought. So.
Yeah. But anyways,
so the cop comes down, Norman Fell, and he starts grilling.
At first, I wasn't sure if he was a cop. I thought maybe he was after the money and pretending to be a cop. But evidently,
we find that the police captain, played by Spencer Tracy, has been having people watch Jimmy Duran's character, whose name is Smiler Grogan, and because for 15 years, this money was this $350,000 was gotten through a tuna factory robbery. Okay, and he never found the money. They never were able to catch it. They knew he did it, but they weren't able to prove it. And I guess Spencer Tracy's getting ready to retire soon. And he'd really like to have that feather in his cap that he solved this case. So he's been having detectives watch Smiler Grogan pretty much, nonstop. And so that's why these guys show up so good, because they'd been tailing him. And, they question the guys. And some of this is kind of funny, too. And they go, did he say anything? And there's Jonathan Winters. Well, about what? Like, what do you mean about what? Did he say anything?
And Mickey Rooney's like, I think he was talking like kind of to his aunt Ethel,
right?
Or whatever.
They tried to say, well, it was embarrassing. They thought this guy was his aunt, and
yeah.
they're like, he wants to get their names. They're like, well, we're going to Vegas. We don't know how long we're going to be gone. We're going on a second honeymoon. We don't know how long we're going to be gone. And I think Milton Berle's character is the only one. His name's Russell. The only one they're able to get his number from. But they even say, hey, the guy crashed. We come down to help him. We tried to see if we could help him. We couldn't help him. Now let us go.
Yeah, they didn't even, And then they all
because when they all leave, when those guys all leave to go back to their cars, the detectives are still down there, and Norman Fell's character says, Culpepper, that's Spencer Tracy, he's not going to like this
because he's dead.
Well, and we found out
that
they had him tailed at a restaurant, a diner, and he went to the men's room and snuck out the window and took off, and that's how the chase started. Obviously Jimmy Duran's character knew he was being watched and snuck out. And, he was saying, Culpepper's not going to say we had to follow him in there.
Do you think Spencer Tracy's character, the police, what is he, captain?
He's
chief?
Captain of the police.
Captain of police, okay.
Not necessarily chief, but he's captain.
Okay. Do you think that he's has intentions on getting the money for himself? Because
no, not yet.
Or he's just happy to... Because he starts getting real... When he knows he's on the trail of the money... he's ready to go off to, Hawaii.
No, it's not his initial intention. And there's a point in the movie where you can really.
And I'll be
tell
going to
when
Ted because Ted knows a lot more about this movie than me.
We did our top 13 last week, and this should have probably been on my list, but it's.
Right.
You can't pick them all.
Yeah.
But out of all comedy films, this is
we'll
probably
we'll
my
be doing
favorite.
another top 10 soon.
Comedies,
I think we'll do a top 10 comedy.
I love Stooges. I love Laurel and Hardy movies. I love Charlie Chaplin's films. His shorts. I've got
those
a collection
are the
of them.
best. I think both of us we agree on that.
Yeah, Chaplin, this film, W.C. Fields. I would say Monty Python, but I've seen those films so many times that I could just recite them.
Yeah.
These are my favorites as far as Marx Brothers.
Marx Brothers. I'll throw in. I'm probably on the outs with the Abbott and Costello.
Yeah. I love Abbott and Costello.
I mean, they're up there for me. But I'd say all time, Laurel and Hardy.
Laurel and Hardy, and they don't get their due at all.
Not at all. And most of the people probably know them from their worst stuff. Mm-hmm. The ones that they throw out there all the time.
Yeah.
Like Flying Deuces and stuff like that.
Yeah, the shorts are where it's at.
And there's tons of them.
Yeah, the movies I don't care so much for, except for maybe Pardon Us and Sons of the Desert.
Right.
Their shorts are fantastic. Those two particular comedians...
And their shorts are like the Three Stooges. They're like 20 minutes or so. So they're like TV shows in themselves.
Right.
So,
and they even wanted... By the time this film was made, Oliver Hardy had passed away already. Hey, I just read news today that they're supposed to be making a film about Laurel and Hardy, like a bio. Really? Kind of about their later days in the 50s. Kind of coming to the... And they're talking about like John C. Reilly and I forgot someone else playing it. It was on Ain't It Cool News. Which,
John C. Reilly. They were doing Stan.
I would think so.
Yeah.
He'd have to lose some weight.
He would definitely have to lose weight.
But they did offer Stan Laurel a cameo in this film as his character, but he was already aged, and he said, I just don't want the fans to see me, all decrepit and old. And he also didn't want to play the character without Oliver. Wow. So
yeah,
he declined.
He took that to his grave. I mean, his partner, Oliver Hardy.
Never has there been a comedy team like that. I mean,
No.
I mean, Stooges are one thing. Marx Brothers are a different beast altogether because they're related.
Exactly.
Abbott and Costello, I would say even better than Abbott and Costello. I think the chemistry between Laurel and Hardy was just so good.
Oh, yeah.
Just the subtle looks they would give each other.
Yeah, that's all you needed. I mean, they started off in silent.
I mean, when he would look at him and just go... it was so... Perfect.
Perfect. Great.
And, if you guys can get your hands on some of those movies, there's probably, I would say, like, Helpmates, The Music Box,
Tit for Tat.
Tit for Tat's my favorite. You could probably find those on YouTube. After you watch our show, and subscribe to our show, you go on there and look up some of those old films. They were great. So,
and let me throw it out there real quick. If you're on iTunes, man, and you're listening to this and watching this, please leave us feedback. It puts us up higher in the ratings and gets more people able to watch us and stuff like that. So please, feedback, comments on YouTube, likes and all that. Do that for us, okay? If you guys are really digging what we're doing. So please do that. But anyways, back to the movie and stuff.
Right, and for the whole 10 minutes that we've been talking here, all that's happened in the movie is that the cars...
Which is a lot, because their expressions, the way they're driving, everything is great.
Everybody went back to their cars and kind of explained what happened. They're not really... when they got up there, do you think there's any credence to what he was saying down there about this money? They all kind of poo-poo it, and they're going to go their separate ways. But as they're all driving away, they're all driving pretty slow. They are all watching each other.
Yeah, it's slowly creeping into their head.
Like each one's waiting for another one to make a move. Hit the gas, and they're zooming off.
They're driving like 20 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah, Milton Berle's up in the front there. And she's like, it's like the mother-in-law's like, you're driving 25 miles an hour. Can't you go faster? And his wife says, he's not that great of a driver, mother.
Oh, how rude.
She mentions how, he'd had a nervous breakdown. That's why he's on this vacation.
Yeah.
Because he has a seaweed factory. Edible seaweed.
Edible seaweed.
Yeah, that's his business. And, Jonathan Winter's character, his name's Pike in the film. He's in this big-ass moving truck, and he's all the way in the back. He's like, yeah.
Which we find out.
They're going to leave the big guy behind. And they're talking, and he's trying to think, big W, water tower. Water chestnuts.
Oh, yeah, he's dissecting
work. That's right, I got to work on what that W means.
And what happens? He starts, as they start going faster, they start speeding up.
Yep.
Milton Berle in the front does.
Right, because they hit the gas a little. Yeah. And then all the other cars start hitting the gas.
Oh, okay, we know what you're doing.
But then the moving truck, Jonathan Winters, he kind of holds back a little bit. And
because they slow down again.
Right. And he comes to almost a dead crawl, and they're watching him. Yeah, which I always think is funny. It's like, what do you care if he's stopping for?
Because the road's all straight ahead. Yeah, if he's slowing down, then he's not doing what you guys are doing.
Right.
But yeah,
But they get suspicious of each other, and that's the thing of the movie. They all start getting so suspicious of each other. So they all get out of their cars, stop on the side of this winding mountain road to go see what the hell Jonathan Winters is doing.
This is a dangerous winding road, and
absolutely,
it blows my mind that they're all pulling off to the side, getting out, doing it. The car does come by and go, wing,
right? But so they decide to pull over to a different spot of the road where there's some room to talk.
Yeah,
and then we go to the police station where Spencer Tracy, Captain Culpepper, is coming in. Mm-hmm. And this is where he finds out that Jimmy Durani's character, Smiler Grogan, has been in a car crash and died. And he's, like they said, he's not real happy about this. But when he finds out that some people witnessed it, and then later finds out that these people are off on the side of the road now talking, because some of their officers drove by. They put like an APB out on the cars.
Right.
They just want to know where they're at, where they're going. And when he hears that they're all
to the local,
the local sheriff. And who plays that guy? I know I've seen him before.
No, he's got a voice and stuff. But I can't. I'd have to go back and dissect the. There's so many people in this movie that it's hard to figure out. There's all of them probably had spots in older movies and stuff that we just don't even. Actually, we don't even know.
Right. There's a lot of these people. Like when I was just doing like a wiki search. A lot of the names even I didn't know. Yeah. So I can't comment on people that I don't know.
Right.
But
I like when he does come into the office, though, and he goes to the phone to the sheriff in the county. Mm-hmm. Oh, God. He picks up the phone and he starts looking at... He tells the woman police officer to get up and get him some coffee. Mm-hmm. And as he does... He's watching her fanny go all the way to the coffee. Right. And he does that every time she gets up in the movie and walks to the thing. Yep. Looking at her butt.
Oh, remember he goes into his office to toss his hat on the coat rack. Yeah, it goes flying out the open window. And here we got one of the best parts. Jerry Lewis.
This is where
he's like, go get my hat. He tells one of the officers, go get my hat. All the cars are going around it. Jerry Lewis sees it in there and runs right over it. I wish he had been in this movie more. But that's great.
He could have been like behind the actions, what's going on, and just like goofing off behind the whole chase. I would have loved to. Jerry Lewis is great. Yeah,
we talk about.
I'm like the French. I love a Jerry Lewis. No, that's Italian. What am I talking?
No, the French do love Jerry Lewis.
Oh yeah. Well, I was speaking Italian though there.
Yeah, I don't. But yeah, he smashes that hat and you're like, get his plate.
Yeah, the hat out the window, and the cop goes, he did it again.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
He did it again.
He tells the secretary, he did it again.
He threw that hat right out the window. But man, how vicious of Jerry Lewis to he did it on purpose and swerved all the way over. He had pretty good aim.
That's like what I would do.
Because he rode right over that.
I'm like one of the guys like when there's puddles in the street and there's kids walking on the side. I love that. Because I can't tell you how many times that happened to me.
Remember last year when we went out with the baseball bat and knocked all the mailboxes off on the street?
People put those big wood boards.
It's still fun, man.
Yep.
Later in your life, you guys can still do this.
Kaboom! And then I accidentally did yours. Sorry.
A little bit of duct tape helps everything.
That's right. So yeah, they all pull over on the side of the road. You see an ambulance and a cop car drive by, and they confirm that, hey, I just made all those cars that the detective reported were at the scene of the accident, and they're all off to the side of the road talking. And so that's what gets Culpepper thinking, that Jimmy Durani's character told them where that money is. Mm-hmm. And he wants to solve this case. So
yeah, because there's no other reason why all of them would be hanging out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So they all went way up the road, pulled over to the side. Right. And I love the conversation they start getting into.
About how to divide the money up.
How do we divvy it up?
And it ends up being just insane.
Well, they're like going, there were how many vehicles? 5 vehicles?
4 vehicles.
4 vehicles. So let's split it up.
4 shares.
Let's 4 shares. Yeah.
And that makes sense. But then it's like, well, wait,
there's three people with Milton Berle.
Right.
Well, there's them 3. There's the couple with Sid Caesar and his wife.
Right.
Then there's Mickey Rooney and Buddy Hackett. So yeah, I mean,
who's Benji and Dingy Bell and Benji Benjamin.
And Buddy Hackett.
And then Jonathan Winter's by himself.
Yeah. And then they finally break it down to...
it gets ridiculous. Like 1 share for each of the car. 1 share for being one of the fellas that went down there. 1 share for being one person in a car. And so, like each person who's in the car...
Jonathan Winter's going, I get the least amount, and it's only $50,000, something like that. But I think they did break it down.
No matter how you break it down, I get less.
Because he's one person. I think technically they're getting about the same amount. So technically, I think in the end, it was the correct way.
Because, Sid Caesar's character, the dentist, he says, you get $56,000 yourself, tax-free.
Whereas the wife...
Right.
Basically, he's like going, well, yeah, all that money is going to be...
You gotta love the conversation when he says tax-free money, and there's Jonathan, what do you mean tax-free? Yeah. And he's like, well, it's like a gift. It's found money. I'm not going to declare it. I know he's not going to declare it. I know you're not going to declare it. He's like, what do you mean not declare it? You gotta pay taxes. That gets me every time. Who the hell?
He was diehard.
Ever say, even corporations, people that rip people off every day, they have to pay taxes. You gotta declare it.
Jonathan Winter is great, man. He's got some scenes in this movie, especially the gas station. Oh my God, yeah, which we'll get to very soon. But yeah, so yeah, they eventually do.
That is one of my all-time favorite parts of the movie. Just not the gas station, but this is him. We gotta pay taxes. It's like cheating the government.
Oh, and I love Ted. I love when they're divvying it up and talking about. Especially Mickey Rooney's character, he keeps calling the old bag.
Oh,
the
yeah,
mother-in-law.
Because Ethel Merman, the mother-in-law in this movie,
Ethel Merman.
What difference does it make? You just want to kill her, and then they say, can't we just shut this old bag up? And you notice how like Milton Berle
about 4 or 5 times.
He'll always agree with whoever the dominant person is, and so in this case it's it's her. It's like, hey, that's right.
Yeah, which his character in this movie is a little different than most of his characters.
Yeah,
because he's usually a dominant. He
plays the weak-willed husband,
opposite of what he usually always plays.
Oh, and I guess we should also mention that Milton Berle's wife in this film is against this from the beginning.
Right.
She is the one who keeps saying, I think we should just go to the police, tell them what they said, and be done with it. Yeah. From the beginning to the end of the movie, she's pretty much against this whole big rat race towards this money.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm just picturing her taking her clothes off now because of you mentioning her.
Isn't she? Look at her.
She is beautiful. I know.
She is foxy.
Foxy lady.
Coming to get you. God.
If it was the 70s, I'd take her out disco dancing.
I would. And then maybe for a cup of tea after.
Anyways.
Yes. I can't remember her name. I think it's Edie something or whatever. It doesn't matter. But they're having their discussion, and it's getting to where no matter how they decide to do it, and I think this one that we just described, where one share for 4 vehicles, one share for being a guy that goes down there, one share for being one person in a car.
Right.
I mean, you're talking, it gets ended up like 17 different ways.
Well, then they all just pretty much say, well, if we're there first...
Yeah, they just say, you know what? It's just going to be every man for himself. If they can't decide it, and they're starting to talk, and I like how they all just start kind of backing away a little, getting in their cars, and it's going to be a big race. In the meantime, Spencer Tracy has informed the cops that had drove by a while ago. Mm-hmm. He's like, just observe them. And that's how it's going to be through the rest of the film.
Ted, which is nuts.
I know.
No matter what they do.
Every law's assault and battery and everything. He does not want the cops to stop
Destroy probably what would amount to millions and millions of dollars.
The hardware store alone.
Worth of stuff.
When we get to that towards the end, the airplanes and so he just wants to observe them because he wants to see where they go, because he's got a gut feeling where he has said for 15 years where he thinks this money's always been. Mm-hmm. And he's telling his his officer friend there, who was played by, I can't remember his name, but if you ever watched My Three Sons, Uncle Charlie.
Charlie,
rough old man. He plays a character named Aloysius.
Yeah, Aloysius.
And he points at where the park is. And he's like, right there. So what he's interested in doing is finding out if they turn south. Because they kept saying, why did Smiler Grogan go up north and then go east?
He's got a gigantic map
of like the city.
Yeah, and he's got
the county or whatever.
Probably the widest black magic marker you've ever seen. It's almost a small paintbrush, and he's going like this, and he's working it down.
Following the roads.
Slowly inches it and ends up going south.
And he says if they start heading south, then I know that they've been told where the money's at.
And makes a bet with... whatever his
Aloysius.
name is. Aloysius, yeah.
And he also mentions to Aloysius how much he'd really like to solve this case, because he's coming to the end of his career. His pension for 30 years before this movie has not been increased a red cent. And, he's got nothing to show for it. He's a good cop, and he's telling him, this guy might be the chief.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I think he is. Because he tells him that he's got the power to pressure the mayor later on.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But he'd really like to crack this case, and I think his intentions are good at this point. And then it just becomes a rat race. Everybody's speeding, trying to get ahead of the other person.
I need a little bit of fluids. It's 3 hours long.
I know. On this twisting mountain road. Like Sid Caesar's got his wife trying to read the map, and like, no, that's in California. He's telling her that's the wrong thing, and Jonathan Winter's truck is trying to block off people. What are you doing?
No, just playing with the toy.
You want me just to talk about the movie the whole time?
Woo! No. Oh, I'm sorry.
And it is funny how they're trying to, Milton Berle's character's in the back. And they're like, pass him. I can't pass him on these curves.
Yeah, this is where it starts. They start getting diehard and matter of life and death kind of stuff. And
no one's really going to get anywhere faster than the others.
Because it's that small mountain road. They're not getting
they're all
nowhere.
Following each other.
As long as you stick behind the other person.
It's silly here. They can all just drive in single file, and you're still going to get there.
But they're
and they're running people off the road too. And you got to.
Do you like the sound it makes when it all happens? Yeah, bing, ding, dong, ching, you can hear everything like this in the next room.
There's the old Southern black couple.
Yeah,
and they're in a truck, and they've got all their belongings on this truck, and you got 4 vehicles bearing down on them, and they run this family off the road, and it's like it lasts for like 30 seconds. The car going down the hill, all their crap is flying left.
Chairs going all over the place.
Guy driving. And I think the lady's like, her expression don't even change.
Yeah, she's just in shock going.
But he's turning the wheel this way, that, and it finally gets to the bottom, and I love he just looks at her. He looks out the window. All their crap is all over the desert.
Can you imagine?
I said it before, and I'll say it again. I didn't want to move to California.
Well, honey, we should damn go to move now.
I watched this with my daughter today because she was off from school. Probably your kids were off from school. Martin Luther King Day, and when that part happens, I'm cracking up. And she thought it was funny, but she's like, why do you think that's so funny? I'm like, I don't know.
Well, this is that humor again, Nat. Either you get it or you don't. But
I could just imagine a situation. I would love to be in something like this.
Oh,
I would love to be in a situation where you could just cut loose and just be a maniac.
Oh my God, without a doubt, that would be fun as heck. That black couple you've seen down there too. The guy, he was in he played lots of roles back prior to this too. So, I said, even the bit time little parts are just these.
And they got a lot of big name actors just to play little bit parts. I mean, you get Jack Benny.
Oh my God! It wasn't hard to get if you know anything behind Jack Benny's story.
He'd do a lot of stuff, I guess.
He'd do anything for about 10 cents.
Yeah,
but go back.
But he was a big name. He was a big name, and the car. It seems like Sid Caesar's character's in the lead, and he turns down a dirt road because there's a sign that says airport, and Benji and Dingy, Mickey Rooney and Buddy Hacker are behind him in their Volkswagen Beetle. And Sid Caesar's just kicking up so much dust. Nobody can see anything. And he's like, they're going to see what kind of man they're dealing with. I'm going to get a plane. And that's a great idea. Get a plane because it's like 200 miles away.
Yep.
So it is a long drive. And freeways weren't then what they are now.
Right.
So
they're pretty much long winding road through California.
Yeah, it's Southern California, so near the border of Mexico.
Oh, when Ethel Merman calls her son later on, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yep.
Ted.
Sylvester.
But them dancing is the funniest scene. But we'll get to it.
Oh yeah, I might even do it.
That might be.
We should do it. We should demonstrate.
We could. That was the best scene ever.
So Milton Berle's car, he turns down there, and he can't see anything. Benji and Dingy's car, it stalls because of all the dust, so they're stuck. And Milton Berle can't see anything because all the dust.
Isn't there mud on him and stuff too?
It's just dust. It's just dust from the road.
Because when he gets to that spot, it looks like it's mud. But anyways, whatever.
And Jonathan Winter's truck turns down there so fast that he rear ends their vehicle. Ethel Merman, the mother-in-law, goes flipping over this. It's a convertible car. Goes flipping over, which is so great, so righteous that happens. And his face is just like, when he does that. And so they're screwed, man. Their car is.
Did he jump on the bike yet? You all right?
I'm getting over a tickle.
Did Jonathan Winters get the bike yet?
Well, that's about to happen.
Okay, it didn't happen yet. Okay, so we're still
with their cars. I don't think it's that smashed, but evidently it's too smashed to drive.
Yeah,
he opens up the back of his truck, and all the furniture falls out. He's like, "Oh, the people who own this stuff are gonna be sore at me." And there's a bicycle, and they want him to go down the road and try to find a place where they can rent a car.
A bicycle.
What? Yeah, I remember he says, this is a little girl's bicycle. I feel awful.
That's what he's worried about. He's worried about it being a girl's bicycle.
Right. So he takes off down the road. Sid Caesar and his wife, they get to the airport first. And it's just like a charter plane. Mm-hmm. And when you guys, if you haven't watched this movie, when you see this plane.
Oh, my God. 1916 plane.
In this movie, the thing's already 50 years old. The plane.
And he goes, is this for anything? And he goes, oh, no, that's all right. That's just a bracing wire. Mm-hmm. To hold the plates, the wings plane.
Right.
The plane's wings together.
Right.
And he just lays it down. What wouldn't he once he takes off? I'm bumbling here, but whatever. Because I can't fathom and believe most of
being in a plane like that. I don't even know if I'd have the guts to get in a plane.
But he leaves it hanging. Wouldn't it mess up something when you're in the air? But
they do even more stuff to it later on. And it still flies.
Oh man.
So they pay the guy $250
going through the floor, but anyway.
Gives him a traveler's check or whatever. He's like, "What's this? It's as good as cash. It's good."
Traveler's checks.
Right then and there.
Nobody probably knows what that is either. But
I use them when I go on vacation.
Still.
They're safe, man. They're insured. You lose them, you still get your money. They're protected. It's stupid.
I guess they were a whole different thing back in the 70s.
Maybe, probably.
They were a
checks
big
were
thing.
Still kind of
right. So that's why travelers. Anyway,
businesses used them, like the average person using them.
What the heck's going on?
So Buddy Hackett and Mickey Rooney show up too. Like, hey, you got a plane, and they're trying to get, you made a deal with this guy, and he tells them maybe another.
200
15 miles down the road, there's 15? Another guy there's a plane club, like a club, a rich people's club, that maybe they can get a plane there.
Mm-hmm.
So they take off. And, Sid Caesar, he thinks he's all slick because they're going to get there first. Mm-hmm. Just you wait.
Oh, no. Nothing works out for any of these people. But
so they're going to get on the plane. Benji and Dingy in the red Volkswagen, they're going to go to the plane club. Jonathan Winters is on a little girl's bicycle. And in the meantime...
And this is where the Criterion Collection kind of shows a lot more of the...
Yeah, they get the
little
extended
stuff, yeah, where, you'll see him going down the road a little bit more with a little bit more dialogue.
Yeah.
Just bits and pieces here, but... he's
more. It's a Mad World is good. It's a Mad.
Yeah.
Unlike some movies, this movie you could just keep piling it on, and I think I'd want to see every minute of it.
No,
I just love the insanity.
Well, I would have loved the other stars, like you said, Jerry Lewis and these other people, just to have more roles in there.
And I always think it's great that there's people that they wanted to put in there, and as that happens, I'll touch on it.
Yeah.
But some of them just wanted too much money. It's like, what? Just have fun. Right. Why do you want all this money?
Exactly. That's what it should be.
Fun for the cause.
Even nowadays, I mean, you get like a horror movie together. Get as many horror, and let's not worry about the money. Let's just. People don't understand that. That helps their careers.
Right. Do it just to work together. Like Peter Cushing. And I mean, they were playing movies where you had Peter Cushing, Vincent Price, and Christopher Lee all in one movie. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Basil Rathbone, Peter Lorre. I mean,
and they did it
Boris Karloff.
For the love of working together with those people.
Right. They
didn't get full salary for that
Probably
stuff.
not.
No. It's because they wanted to put out something really cool with
Some
us.
actors will do that,
Right.
I mean, if it's a good enough movie, they'll do that. But, so... Milton Berle's character, Russell.
Where we at? A lot of stuff going on.
His wife,
because we're going back
Emmeline,
and forth with all of these characters.
And the mother-in-law.
Yeah.
They end up, they see a car coming, they wave it down, and this is, what's his name? Terry Thomas, I think, maybe? British actor. Very British. And...
he was in sci-fi movies back in the 50s.
Oh, really?
Bit roles like that, too.
He's hilarious in this film. And the funny thing is...
I'm trying to think what else, what else was
I don't know any other...
Okay.
If someone names something, I might know it. And they ask, hey, can we get a ride? We've had an accident. He's like, oh, jolly good, terrible accident. Jolly good no one was hurt. And you know who they originally wanted to play that character?
No.
Peter Sellers.
No.
Can you imagine this movie with Peter Sellers?
Talking like Peter Sellers?
Now, this guy's great. Terry's great.
Oh, yeah.
But Peter Sellers would have been a whole different...
He probably was one of the ones that said, hey, you
too much money.
Pay me, yeah.
Well, Peter Sellers was getting to be a big deal in the 60s. And,
yeah. But, yeah.
But just to imagine what could have been with Peter Sellers.
Yeah.
But you know what? I really love this guy.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, it doesn't take...
And I'm not going to knock him at all because he plays it to a T. And honestly, it's fun to imagine what could have been, but I couldn't imagine this movie without him.
Right.
Because he's got some of the best stuff in it, He's so... Oh, righto.
Righto, good chap.
We must get cracking. So, yeah, he's in... They get in the car and he's...
Do you think I'm still going to get my 10%?
Oh, yes, yeah. So he explains that he's a liaison with some of the military here for Britain, and he's on leave collecting specimens of desert plants, cactus, and stuff, and the mother-in-law sits on one.
They're in the back.
She sits on it, and you got to watch Milton Berle's face, because she's like, where do you want me to put this? And Milton Berle's like, where do you want me to put it?
Where I want you to yeah.
And you got to love, when they're driving by, they see Jonathan Winters on that girl's bike, pedaling his ass off, trying to help them.
And the
mother-in-law says, don't, because Russell and Emmeline start saying, hey, stop. And she goes, don't you dare stop for him. Don't you dare. You keep going. And when he sees them drive by, his face just drops. And, I mean, I feel so bad for him. It's just
Jonathan Winters is, he's...
You don't even stop.
He's the loner, and a lot happens to him in this movie, but he's very angry at points, too.
And he's the one that I root for in this movie.
Well, that's what the police officer says later on. He says, we'll get to that when we get to it, but, they start rooting for certain people, but anyways.
Sid Caesar and his wife are going to take off in the plane, and she's scared of it, because you hear the plane revving up, it's like...
Well, before they start taking off, too, the guy who's flying the plane, whatever, his wife is in front of the plane.
Yeah, to move the box.
She moves the box and she goes, sign of the cross.
She even knows that plane's not going to make it.
It's like, what's going on?
And since
hope you come back, husband.
Explain to his wife, they don't, there's nothing experimental about these planes. They don't make them like this anymore. Like, how old... Excuse me. When was this plane built? In like 1960. See, they don't make them like this anymore. They're built to last.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it's falling apart. But anyways, yeah.
And yeah, like even when she steps on the wing to get in, it rips through the canvas or whatever it is.
Yes.
And they get in there, and when they show the plane taking off.
As she's getting up to the plane, too, her skirt rips.
Oh.
Rips.
You ever seen a better pair of legs, man?
Well, that was, yeah.
Very
I wish
nice.
it would have
very nice.
ripped off a little bit more. But anyways, yeah.
Very nice, man. She is beautiful.
But in the meantime...
but they show the plane going to take off, and it's like... and the thing's not even getting off the ground. Black smoke pouring out of it. And even like when it goes up, it ends up going back down.
I wouldn't be flying that plane.
It's great.
Oh, my God.
I mean, what did you sign?
The guy flying it is just, he doesn't care. I'm getting some money. I don't care if I die.
Exactly. And then...
But what's Milton Berle and them
they're
stop at the gas station.
Well, wait,
and that's where we...
Before that, Phil Silvers shows up. Phil Silvers.
Okay.
Jonathan Winters is on his bike, riding down the street, cussing him out, and he sees a car coming, flags him down, and it's Phil Silvers, another famous actor, and he plays the sleazy, the most despicable guy in this whole rat race. And, he tells him, I need to get to Santa Rosita, and the guy's like, I can't take you that far, because it's, 200 miles away. And he says, all right, listen, I got to tell somebody. You're not going to believe it when I tell you.
Yeah, they start spilling the beans to people to bring a couple more in here on this
So he's sitting in the car, he tells them the story, and Phil Silvers, he's like, okay, I'm pretty gullible, I'll listen to it. And when he hears this story, he's like, all right, let's go, we'll go. He's like, hey, you better get that bicycle out of the road before somebody trips over it. Go throw it in the hedges over there.
Yep.
So Jonathan Winters gets out of the car, goes to throw the bike over, and as soon as he's like mid-throw, Phil Silvers takes off and leaves. And then
it's a shame.
Jonathan Winters has that look on his face again.
Son of a biatch.
I'm sorry, every time I laugh, I'm getting that cough.
But yeah, he throws that bike in the bushes, and he shoots off, and he has to go back and get his bike. And when he goes to sit on it, the bars are all bent and stuff.
Like when your handlebars go this way, but the tires going straight.
So then it starts.
He throws it down and stomps on it.
Pedaling down the road again, and it's just so crazy.
So he is still on the bicycle.
And I can't, how he's even getting anywhere is beyond me on this bike, but because everybody else is just going full speed ahead and playing, and their Jeeps. And I'll tell you what, they put effort into the vehicles, too, because every vehicle is distinct and different from the other.
Right. From
pickup trucks to Jeeps to whatever else,
Convertibles, Dodges.
Yeah, I mean...
So Phil Silvers is taking off. He doesn't get too far away from Jonathan Winters where he gets a blowout. And when he goes, he's crashing into street signs for this garage up the road. And he pulls up into the garage. And he's telling when he pulls up there, he's telling him, I got a flat tire. If you can't fix it, there's a spare in the back. I don't know if it's got air. If it ain't got air, then fix it. If it can't fix it, just don't worry about it. Put a new one on. Hurry, come on, you could be filling it out.
Stop, yep.
And, prior to that, Milton Berle and their crew, the English guy, whose name is Hawthorne, I believe, in the film, they stop at this very same gas station. It's a brand new business that just opened up. And they're inside, and Hawthorne's outside talking to one of the guys, the gas station attendants. And, because we know what's coming up. And he explains to him, we're going to have to tell him, because if we don't tell him, he's not going to take us.
Right.
So they decide to fill him in on it, and, the mother-in-law's like, why should he get a whole share? 10%. Not a whole share.
Yeah, but she's a bitch.
Oh, God. Anyway, who could have been married to her, man? You know why her husband died before her? Because he wanted to. That's why the husbands die first, because we want to.
Oh my God. Anyways,
that's what happens to them when they end up taking off. That's then Phil Silvers pulls up and starts saying all that to the guys, and he's in a hurry. He doesn't have a whole lot of time before Jonathan Winters is going to catch up with him.
Yeah.
And but in between that, they cut to. Hawthorne and Milton Berle's character, Russell, and all of them. And they're driving down the road, and the mother-in-law who's sitting in the back, you see her eyes go wide, and she goes, Sylvester! And she pushes Hawthorne, Terry Thomas. And by pushing him, he runs off the road. The vehicle almost damn near flips over. And they get back on the road.
Right.
And she starts to explain, my son, Sylvester, lives 10 minutes away from Santa Rosa. He's a lifeguard on the beach. You know, we could call him up, and he could go dig it up.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
And then, but you can hear the car starting to make noises, and they show the tire going...
The tires are all wobbling. And
Madam, I'm not sure if you haven't damaged this machine. Wait.
They destroyed the
And while he's
car.
driving, he's like this.
Yeah, so that woman, man.
Then they cut back to the gas station, and you see, you know, the Phil Silver's character. I don't even remember what his name is in this movie. But he's wanting to get the hell out of there, and you see Jonathan
Winters coming up on the bike. He's pedaling up. He sees him, and he comes, you! And I love he pulls up. He's chasing him around the car.
Yeah.
Then he stops.
Well, Phil Silver's just saying that he's a psychiatrist. I'm a psychiatrist. This man just escaped from an asylum.
Yeah. But Jonathan Winters' character he opens up the passenger door, tears it off.
Oh, man.
And throws it, and I'm like going...
And that's nothing compared to what he's going to do.
Oh, yeah, no.
But yeah, he picks up like a couple of inner tubes, he starts
But who rips apart a car door?
Jonathan Winters is a brute, man. He's huge. He's taking tire into beating the hell out. He's putting his head into the gas, you know, the gas pump.
The beginning of destruction of this property. But anyways,
and you know, the two guys that work there that own the shop, they don't know. So one of them takes a glass bottle and busts Jonathan Winters over the head, knocks him out. And Phil Silver's like, just tie him up. I'll call for a couple of orderlies. They'll come get him. Just tie him up real good. I'll be back. No intention of it.
Yeah, he takes his car door,
throws it in the back seat,
and takes off. Just takes off. Yeah. And
man.
That's
when he wakes up,
that is
so
a
funny.
Scene in this. Oh yeah.
And even though you can tell the stunt double in the film, it just doesn't matter to me.
No, it doesn't. And
Jonathan Winters wanted to do his own stunts. But they couldn't guarantee his safety, so he couldn't do it.
I didn't even notice it, really, to tell you the truth.
Not much. I mean, you could tell here and there.
Meanwhile,
Mickey Rooney and Buddy Hackett, they get to the plane club, and they're trying to find out...
Rich people plane club.
Yeah, and you see like several planes
extravagant
on the strip there.
Yeah.
And they point at one of them. Whose plane is that? And he's like, oh, that belongs to... I can't remember the fellow's name, but he's played by Jim Backus. And if you know Jim Backus...
Gilligan's Island.
The millionaire.
Yep, the millionaire.
Arthur.
Oh.
And he's a drunk.
Mr. Howe.
Mr. Howe, exactly. Yeah. And they're like, that belongs to, I can't remember his name, but it's like, but you can't wake him.
Yeah, don't bother him.
Don't bother him. You can't. And they're like, why? Why not? They go running into the club, and he's passed out on the pool table, and they're in there,
I like how they're hanging over him, and he's going, oh my God, he smells, he stinks. Don't ask me why, but he smells the high heaven.
Well, because of the booze.
That's right.
He's a complete alcoholic.
Right. He's laying one off.
Go,
right.
Like when they're even on the plane. Go in the bag, make us some old fashions. Just hit the button that says booze. But from there, they cut back to the gas station, and this is like the classic scene, I think, in the film.
Yes.
Like the one that you could show people. Here's what this movie's about. And they're tying Jonathan Winters up, and he comes to. He's like, "What are you?"
They got big black tape is wrapped around in a chair.
Tape. And he's just like, "What are you doing? Turn me loose! Turn me loose! What are you doing?"
And he goes crazy and ballistic and starts.
Yeah, they're tying him to a chair. He rips as much of the tape off as he can. The chair is still stuck with tape to his ass.
Yes.
And he proceeds to
break the wall. Through the wall because they go through a door to a next room.
And there's a couple scenes here where he's like, "You guys are getting me burned up now." And they run into the bathrooms. He demolishes the bathrooms.
They're throwing big drums at him.
Yeah,
and they must weigh like 2 pounds.
Jonathan Winters can punch through any door. And
he's destroyed. They run out to the outhouses in the back.
Yeah, they're entire.
And he punches holes through both of them, and they run out through the backside somehow, and that all just falls down to the ground. It's flattened.
I remember a part where like half the garage is completely destroyed, and I'm not going to go into all the. He's throwing people out windows. He's pulling roofs down, and he comes out and he yells at the guys. "You guys are getting out of line now." When he tells them, "You guys are getting out of line," he's destroyed half their business.
Half the place is down.
You fellas are getting out of line. He's picking up Coke machines and throwing them.
He's literally throwing everything.
Hulk smash.
Yes.
I can't put it any better than that.
Yes. And meanwhile, while all this is going down, there's 2 police officers across the street watching it and being told by the chief, Spencer Tracy, to, hey, don't get involved because we want to find out where they go.
I mean,
so meanwhile,
how awesome to be able to go completely shit show.
Yes. and do they ever get in trouble for any of this?
No.
$1 million destruction of the whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, in today's terms and stuff, but yeah, the whole place is destroyed.
Now, the only tidbit I know about this particular scene is it was built out in the desert on, I think, some movie producer's property. You know, I don't think the producer even realized, like, they had permission to build something there, but he didn't know what or whatever. And he actually saw this filling station, thought someone actually, leased some of his land for a business there. And then after the weekend, when they shot the scene, he come back, saw it was all demolished, and thought, oh my God, what happened? I'm going to get sued. So that was one little funny thing, because they just left it there. They didn't clean it up yet. And the coup de grace is Jonathan Winters sees their little tow truck. That's what happened.
Yeah.
They originally wanted to try to rent Milton Berle's character and the mother-in-law and his wife wanted to rent their truck and cut the English guy loose.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't, because their business just opened and they didn't want to be without their tow truck. Because that's what it is. It's a tow truck. And so that's when they decided, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that before, that's when they decided they have to cut the English guy in on what's going on so that he'll take them. But Jonathan Winters steals that truck, gets in that truck, and not only that, he makes sure he backs into the water tower, knocks that over, and smashes the rest of the building. And as he's driving off, the last of the walls just fall down, and it is completely flat.
The water tower, everything completely flat. They destroyed the whole thing.
Garage, everything is destroyed.
And the two attendants are underneath.
Yeah, underneath the rubble.
Yeah.
And then we go to a scene where they have Milton Berle and the mother-in-law. The mother-in-law's at a payphone, if you remember what those are. And she's trying to call her son. And this is where we get introduced to... What's his name? What's the actor's name again? Something Sean.
Isn't he the one that was on the Carol Burnett show?
Might have been, yeah. Might have been. This dude
is... This is the funny... Don't ask me why, but this scene catches me the best in this movie.
This is
the funniest part of the movie for me. It's insane. It's actually a little psychotic what they're doing.
It's very 60s what's going on.
Yeah, very 60s. So, yeah. She tries calling them up.
Sylvester.
Yeah.
Don't you love how she says his name? Sylvester!
Yeah, she called her son, and meanwhile, they flash to them.
His little... shack that he lived in.
Yeah, and they shoot right to the 60s action with them going. They're just
dancing and playing records and dancing.
Twisted. And it's classic 60s surf.
The girl's in a bikini and she is so...
She's psychotic. She's entranced and she's got a mean look on her face. And he's going around.
Yeah, baby, yeah, do it, baby, yeah, baby. And he doesn't even hear the phone ring. And he's all over the place in the house.
And he's screaming like, yeah, girl, you got it going on.
and she knows the beats to the music. She'll stop. Do.
Ted, what was that about? That was so nuts. But I loved it so much. And his character.
And it happens like 3 times, so it's awesome.
And I love him on the Carol Burnett show. Him and Tim Conway.
Wasn't that a great show, man?
Tim Conway. Yes, it's... and the sad part is that most of that show isn't out there.
Yeah.
It's just like you've got 123 episodes that are out there you can get a hold of. And there were 10 or probably longer, 12 seasons of this.
Right.
And, and they won't put it out, Oh my God!
I remember watching that. Fantastic.
Carol Burnett show who made it was this guy and Tim Conway. Carol Burnett it's her show.
She's funny.
She's funny, but she's kind of what brings them together. And Tim Conway steals the show in that whole series over all the years.
Yeah, local guy here for us.
Yeah, he's from
Chagrin Falls.
Yeah, from the area. Yeah, so but. Oh, it's just too good. I love Carol Burnett show.
We got a little bit,
Another thing, if you're into comedy, to go back and look at.
Yeah.
Tim Conway, Carol Burnett shows. Do a YouTube search. You'll get the funniest scenes.
Right.
When he plays the little old man and he inches his way. He just tidbits.
Him and Don Knotts teamed up for a few movies, and they're all pretty funny. Apple Dumpling Gang,
Disney movies,
Private Eyes.
Yep, good movies too.
Awesome
definitely.
Stuff.
So where we at?
Let's see. Well, while she's trying to call Sylvester, Reginald Hawthorne, and Russell, Milton Berle, having a little conversation. He's asking him, what sort of chap is this Sylvester? and Milton Berle's character tells him, he's a nut. He's like, well, I have a relative too. I can't remember what he says his name is, but she's kind of like that. And he basically says, all I can tell you is that if he got hold of some information like this information, that would probably be the last anyone would ever see of him.
Right.
Can we trust this Sylvester?
Yeah, you can't trust him.
And so that puts the seed of doubt in Milton Berle's head, too. Like, maybe, getting Sylvester involved in this isn't the best idea.
Yeah.
He could easily take off with that money and be gone with it.
And this is where the mother-in-law steals the keys out of the ignition.
Oh, but in the meantime, Jack Benny pulls up in the car, remember?
Yes, this is where Jack Benny makes his appearance and pulls up.
Trouble? Anyone having any trouble? And it's just like, yes, and we don't need any help from you.
And he goes,
well. His drives off.
And that's a line he's done over and over on his show. In The Honeymooners, he made an appearance in one episode where he was the landlord. And, he just enters the doorway, and he says, I think, a sentence and stuff, and he goes, oh, well. and then that's it, and he leaves. I mean, that's his thing. I mean, it's just great. Honeymooners.
And so the mother-in-law gets offended about, don't you dare say anything about my son and that we can't, involve him. And she takes the keys out of the Englishman's car, and she goes up, she
throws it down his shirt.
Ends up putting them down her shirt. And, they's like, you're going to make us do this. We don't want to do it, but you're going to make us do it. And Milton Berle's coming closer to her, and don't you dare. Don't you. And she's got that handbag, like Aunt Esther.
Yeah.
She's whacking them with it. I mean, that thing's a deadly weapon with her. But
and they take and grab her.
Arms and feet, turn her upside down and shake her. And the keys fall out. And they just plop her down on the ground.
It's like a Three Stooges thing. When you swallow the diamond ring, you're like, let's shake it out of him. So
and they get those keys and they tell her, you can either come with us and shut up, or if you don't want to go, you don't have to go, and we'll leave your ass here. And after
unbelievable.
She's kicking him in the shins, whacking him with the purses. It's great. Lady's full of spunk.
Oh my god,
full of piss and vinegar. She's so hard.
But this is where they kind of split up because the mother-in-law tells her daughter, "Hey, you come over here with me," and they kind of.
And I think she's a little miffed that Russell kind of manhandled her mother a little bit.
Right, yeah.
But
and Milton Berle wouldn't kind of do anything. It coming.
I mean,
oh yeah.
And like when he tells her that we're gonna go take those keys. There's the English guy. Righto, good show, good show.
And he's the English guy with the big old teeth. Typical.
The big space in the teeth and the
cartoon
mustache.
show and all that. I mean,
this is the part where he said, "We really must get cracking.
We must make it that fast." Oh man! So they
cut to the plane.
Yeah, cut to the plane,
and one of the funniest things is they're flying this plane. This plane's stuttering, and they look down, and all the cars are going faster than they are. And he even says, "The cars are going faster than us. Can't this go faster?" And the pilot says, "Yeah, I can open her up, and we can go faster, but it'll eat up a lot more gas." He's like, well, fine, I'll pay for the gas. He's like, it'll cost you another $50. He's like, okay, we'll pay when we get there. He's like, now! You're like, what? In the plane.
Yeah.
You want me to pay now? You're like, all right. So
it's like in
his damn checkbook out. And the wife's like, oh, yeah, there's a bug. There's a bug. And he goes to whack the bug. Breaks the glass on the like this little window.
The windshield, yeah.
And he goes to stomp on it. And
falls through
goes through the plane.
Oh, the plane's falling apart. Oh, my God.
I love it. The guy's, now! You pay now!
You pay now! You pay now! You leave! You leave! But
the comedian.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
John Pineda.
You leave now. But yeah, that's hilarious, man. That plane out on... And it's
all the cars are just flying past.
I know, you see them just shooting by fast. We ain't getting nowhere, man.
Car would have been faster.
Yeah. But
and this is where we're going to start getting a taste of what Spencer Tracy's been going through.
Oh, yeah.
His wife calls.
Mm-hmm.
And he's telling her,
she calls him, she says, Spencer Tracy? She says that.
Spencer!
It was a blooper. She didn't mean to say that in the movie.
Oh, I don't know. That voice is very familiar, his wife's voice. I can't tell who that is.
She played actually all the roles in the 1940s films where there would be a voice on the other side of the phone.
She's every single one?
Yeah.
Every single film?
Yeah, so she kind of got typecasted.
I guess so.
Woman
on phone.
In that role. Yeah, I mean... Well,
but her voice is familiar. I don't know where
she
I heard it from.
She got scarred up when she was younger.
Okay.
From a oil slick.
Oil slick?
Yeah, she was driving down in a little buggy.
Uh-huh.
And the sewing machine fell off.
Okay.
And it was still hanging on to the side of the car.
It must have created a spark.
It created a spark that went up, blew up, it burned a little bit of her face.
Wow.
So to that day, she said, let me just play any role that involves the telephone.
Okay.
So
that's a steady gig, though.
Yeah, she's Golden Globes, and she's in the Hall of Fame, too.
I'm going to keep it going. I'm sorry. Okay.
Nevertheless, he's talking to his wife, and he's telling her to get tickets for Hawaii or whatever.
About,
and who does he say not to come? There's his son or something like that?
They have a daughter, Billy Sue.
Billy Sue daughter.
Who we'll find out is 6'5", and it's kind of hard for her to get a boyfriend. And Billy Sue come?
Almost like
just us.
Almost like Long Duck Dong and 16 Candles. You got Big Mac and girlfriend.
Hey.
Big Mac and style girlfriend. I got someone to put my hair in. Anyway, so. Yeah.
And, where was I?
I don't know. I interrupted you.
Dang, you did.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's just telling her about, and she doesn't even know what he's talking about when he talks about
I'm messing with him because he's got the whole movie rolling in his head.
I know, I do.
There's a little mouse up in his head right now with a projector going...
I know this movie well.
Yeah.
The Smiler Grogan case. She's like, what's the Smiler Grogan case? Like, only the thing I've been talking about for 15 years. Like, you could just tell at home, no one's listening to a damn thing he says. He's got this daughter, he's got this wife, and they're probably just going back and forth. And
that's a shame.
That's going to happen periodically throughout the rest of the film. It's just going to progress and get worse.
Yes. Sorry, guys. I dropped my speaker in the middle of the show. I need that back up there. Anyways.
The next thing that happens is Phil Silver's character, the real rat face guy. He's driving, and this I find kind of odd that he even stops for this guy.
Right.
But there's a guy in the middle of the road waving his hand. He stops, and evidently he's got some medicine for his wife.
Does he say, "Oh man," like?
He might. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. But he does pick him up.
Yeah, and guy's like, I ran out of gas. I got some medicine for my wife. She's sick, and he's like, it's just a mile or two down the road.
He goes, I can't go that far. That's too far out of my way.
Yeah, it's just a mile or two down the road.
He goes, basically, this guy makes him and forces him. Mm-hmm. Because his wife's sick, needs the medicine. He ain't going to walk the 2 miles or whatever it takes to get back to his shack.
I'm kind of surprised he does that.
Yeah.
Agrees to take him.
Because, he's not that type of character, but he does.
In the meantime there, the two women are left on the side of the road. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Winters in the tow truck drives past them, and it's just like he sees them. He's like, well. And he does pick them up, I think reluctantly. Mm-hmm. And while they pull over at another gas station, and it's kind of funny as they pull in.
I think he
coincidentally.
She persuades him that he can get a cut because her son is that close to the money.
Right, to the
so he goes, money. Okay, well, you promised me.
She also says that it was Russell and the Englishman who didn't want to pick them up.
Yeah.
She's like, we wanted to pick you up. Biggest phony liar.
Yeah. But gets on his side and takes her payphone and doesn't get a hold of him.
Right.
Because they're dancing.
The Englishman and Russell, Milton Berle, they're at the gas station, and they're kind of talking while he's filling up his car, saying, I just don't know. We better go back and get him, because if we don't, and Sylvester gets it, he's like, I can guarantee you, even if I'm married to her, I'm not getting any of that money. And he's, well, surely I'd still get my 10%, gentleman's agreement and all. No.
Yes.
So it's kind of funny. They pull out around. There's like a big van or something there. And they pull out around and go back for the ladies while the tow truck is pulling in. So they don't even see each other pass.
They pass right past each other in a big old circle.
The mother-in-law goes to make a phone call. And I love how Jonathan Winters is telling Russell's wife, the story of what happened. He was like, and when I get my hands on that guy, I'm just telling you, I hope you look away. I hope you just turn around and look away.
He just destroyed a darn station.
He's that way the whole movie. Like, I'm gonna get that guy.
I think he said, let's keep that anger going in that movie because boy, Jonathan Winters is a brute in this movie.
Oh, he's so great. And he's great. I've loved him in everything I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
He used to be in Mork and Mindy, remember? And
yes. He was awesome in Mork and Mindy. Mm-hmm. John, he's one of those...
Daddy.
he's an oddball. Robin Williams looked up to him.
Right.
He had that kind of... He played like a little kid most of the...
In Mork and Mindy, yeah. He was their child.
And a lot of his...
From Ork, you start old and you get younger.
Yeah.
So when he hatched out of the egg, he was an old man.
Right.
Mommy, Daddy.
Yeah. So yeah, Jonathan Winters is just... He's very,
fantastic.
Very funny.
What a gift.
Oh.
So
Phil
Silvers and this guy with the medicine the guy is taking him down some mountain road.
With big boulders in the middle.
It's like they live in the middle of a desert valley. And he's going, and when he's trying to go down the hill, and he stops. He's like, "Come on, it's too steep. I'll never get back up here."
And he goes, "I get down this every day in my Jeep."
Yeah, which is probably 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, of course.
So he gets down there and he backs up. He tries to get up the damn hill and can't do it.
Nope. And there's a little kid.
Oh God, yeah.
Who's off sitting on the side by a dump and
just watching him.
Yeah. Who he persuades to...
Hey, kid, there's gotta be another road out of here. Come on!
There is, mister.
And he's like, yeah, I can tell you another road. He's like, get in, I'll give you $1. And the kid's, $3.
And this kid's a young Mark Hamill who goes on to play Luke Skywalker.
Oh, get out of here. It's not Mark Hamill.
Oh, okay. Wrong movie, sorry. Okay, maybe not.
People are gonna buy that.
Hey, he was a kid in this movie. Come on.
He wasn't that young in 63.
Anyways, yeah, they. So what do they do?
He gets the kid, I love the kids. $3.
Yeah, he brings him up to $3. And
he's like, fine. He intends to give him a cent.
Right, and just the fact that $1 and $3 is that big a difference.
Yeah, so I mean,
get me out of here.
So yeah, they go down. There's like another path that's going down this way. And they go down there, and we'll find out what happens to them later. Hijinks ensue. I know Milton Berle and the English guy, Hawthorne, they get back to the place where they left the girls and they're not there. And Milton's kind of thinking, well, maybe we should go back to the other gas station, the one that Jonathan Winters destroyed. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, that's just more out of the English guy's kind of right. That's just more out of our way. Mm-hmm. If anything, they're going to be heading back to, the way, towards Sylvester. We really must get cracking. So they carry on. Mm-hmm. And then it's back, the plane lands. The dentist and his hot wife, they land in the plane. They get there, and he just tells the guy, watch our car. We'll pick it up tomorrow, and they take off. Mm-hmm. But then it's back to Phil Silvers.
Yeah,
and that kid leads him up to the top of the steepest hill I've ever. It's like a roller coaster hill.
Yes,
and he's looking down and going, down there, and the kid's like, yeah, and it's from a distance. Because it's not Phil Silvers really driving the car. But it is hilarious.
It's like a roller coaster.
Watching that car
straight down.
Fishtail the whole way down there. The driver's side doors flipping open. I don't know how he got that car down there without, getting in an accident. And it just skids out on the side and carries on. But, I mean, that hill, it's got to be like 80 degrees.
He shouldn't be, but he had to get going. So.
Oh, but I love when he's up there at the top of it, like, down there! I'd be scared to death driving my vehicle down there.
Yeah, it's funny, man.
Oh, God. So the dentist and his wife, they grab a cab, I guess, at Caesar, and they get to a hardware store, which is closing as they get to it. The guy's coming out saying, yeah, we're closed. It's it's noon. It's Sunday. And he says some guys in there, Mr. Groban or whatever. I don't know. He's like, Mr. Groban's in there.
And they go and see a sign that says tools and heads down.
Points down the basement.
So they shoot straight down the basement to get tools, for digging.
You're not even yelling for anybody to, help you when you're in there.
Yeah.
You're like, excuse me, anybody here can sell me something? And the old man who the other dude was referring to doesn't hear them down there, closes the door, and it's got a big lock on it.
Oh,
They are trapped in the basement of the hardware store.
Yeah, why of all places? I mean, it's just a big metal you ain't getting out of that door, man. What did you do eventually? Which is funny, but...
and that is great.
Yeah.
You know what's so awesome about this movie, though? We haven't even come to the intermission yet. There's still an intermission in this movie. Like, I was watching with my daughter today, and she sat there and watched it, but, you know, I mean, the movie's been on for, you know, going on an hour and a half now. And he's asking, you know, she's asking, how much longer is it? I was like, oh, honey, it's still got a while. Like, we're not even done. One other scene.
She sat through the whole movie?
She watched that the whole movie.
Wow.
Yep, the whole movie.
When you got to the intermission, did she go, is it over with?
No, it's not over with. It's like, go get the chips, go get the salsa, snack time. One scene we forgot to mention, too, is with Mickey Rooney. We haven't talked about them for a while. Mickey Rooney and Buddy Hackett.
They have kind of a little lull here. They
got Jim Backus in the shower. Remember, they get him in the shower?
Yeah.
And while he's in the shower, he's like, ah!
And he falls and slips on his butt because they're going after him.
Because they're giving him some sob story. Like, grandmother's dying, and she requested a presents, and we gotta get to her.
We need to be at the funeral.
And I love when he's in the shower. I think Mickey Rooney's character is holding a Bloody Mary. He's selling him a drink to get him to wake up.
A Bloody Mary.
Slapping him on the face. They're giving him a shower. He falls down in the shower. And the idea is to get him to... I mean, do you really want this guy flying the plane?
I know, really, because the guy can't... He's incoherent. But
until he gets some alcohol in him.
Right. And then he's able to fly the plane.
Yeah, because I love when they're on the plane. Go make us some old fashioned. And they're like, you're going to drink and fly? He's like, of course, it's the only way to fly. Just go back there and make us some drinks. Just hit the button that says booze.
Yeah, his plane has
a bar in
it.
Bar.
Yeah, it is so funny.
A couple of old fashions like Dad used to make.
Man. But anyways, yeah.
And they're like, you've already had 2 drinks. You sure you should be having... Of course.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
And
booze on the plane.
Let's see.
Driving drunk. Yeah, we're back at the the hardware store. They're stuck down there.
There's another scene where Milton Berle and Terry Hawthorne are driving.
Oh, okay.
And they're starting to get on each other's nerves a little bit. They're gonna start
eating at each other.
Yeah, there's gonna be some fisticuffs, a little bit of I don't want to say not racial tension, but international political tension.
Right. Yeah.
And
says something bad about his country.
Right.
And he says, "I'm basically you're out of here."
Right. Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, I didn't know
that's going to be coming up."
And then he says something bad about the Americans, but he can't do nothing because he's driving the car. So
you go.
Whatever. Then we're at the police
cops.
station.
Yeah, they're listening in. They're getting reports
from all
where
these people.
Everybody is doing because all of these people are being observed.
And because they were locked in the basement...
Yeah, they said, do you want us to let them out?
And one of the police officers who is rooting for Jonathan Winters says, hey, I think you shouldn't help them along because...
I agree.
But because Spencer Tracy was going to let them out.
Yeah, but he says, that's not fair to the others.
That's not fair to the others because this is a race.
Right, and Spencer Tracy says, you realize once they dig up that money... we're bringing them in. Right. He's like, he says, but it's a race. Yeah. So it's not fair. It's not fair.
Yeah. Which is kind of cool.
I think that's right. I think that was the right thing to do. Leave them in there. Mm-hmm. Leave them in there. Leave them to their own devices.
And meanwhile, he is down there with the sledgehammer.
Just whacking
pounding the steel door, and it's little dents.
It's not.
This is us. Yeah, he ain't
not getting out this way.
No.
And the plane with Jim Backus and Mickey Rooney, but it's taking off, and that's where he's going to start talking about wanting the booze and make us some drugs. And Spencer Tracy's on the phone again with his wife, and it's the daughter's leaving home because she was supposed to introduce her fiance to them. And now they're going on this trip, and she feels all slighted that they don't want to meet him, and now the engagement's off. And, he's just on the phone exasperated, like, why should I even care about this?
Yeah. He's just glad that he's going to come to the end of his 15-year journey to get this money.
Like, am I going to retire and this is what I got to listen to the rest of my life? Wheels are turning. Back in the hardware store. Oh, and we forgot to mention the electricity got turned off, too. There's no lights. She's lighting candles. And he's got, what is it? Is it a forklift or something?
It's a forklift.
And he's going to drive it through the door.
You see him start from wherever in the back, and he just goes right through the door and breaks right through. And, just
But it's not the door to get out.
No, but it's a door. But
Right.
I mean, it's hilarious.
It's a door, but it's not the door that gets them out.
Right. But then they flash back to the Sylvester dancing.
God, I love his moves. Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh, this is a freaking workout. And let me mention, too, that throughout this whole movie, all these actors are sweating to death.
Yeah. I mean, they're out in this,
Hot as heck.
Yeah.
But, man, these are groovy 60s. Man, I dig it.
You like the old beach movies, too? Like Frankie Avalon and that?
I never got into those.
Never watched any of those? Some of them were funny.
I remember a couple where, like, the gangs, the leather jacket ones, and he would like a Fonzie type thing.
Yeah. Those would be on Saturday afternoons or something.
Yeah,
Sunday.
that's probably where I saw them, man. You know.
Sunday afternoons seemed to be like the Jerry Lewis movies and stuff like that. And Saturdays was always the monster movies and stuff like that.
But this is funny because Sylvester finally picks up because the music's lower.
Yeah, the girl picks up the phone.
Yeah, and her mother's
hello, and I love her. Who's that? Who is that?
Is my son there? Is Sylvester there?
Yeah, who's this? You know,
she's walking around in her bikini. I mean, you know.
Sylvester, it's your mother. Tosses him the whole phone. You know, like, he's just like, this is what my daughter said her favorite part was.
Really?
When he's like, hey baby, give me a beer or something. For some reason, she thought that was so funny.
Give me a beer.
Gets him a beer.
This is a funny part, though, because his mother's on the phone, freaking out about saying, hey, you're real close to this where the money is and stuff like that. And basically, he starts freaking out, going, what's wrong with you, Mama?
Right.
What's wrong?
And she mentions about Russell and the Englishman, assaulting
And he
her.
goes, what did he do?
What did Russell do to you? And he's not paying any attention when she's trying to explain to him about...
Except that she was, manhandled, and...
Right.
Like a good son would do.
Where are you at? Someplace called Plaster City. You stay right there.
Yeah, she's like going, no. And he hangs up, and Jonathan Winters is standing right next to her, and they're like, well, kind of blew that.
Yeah, she's like, he's coming here. He said to stay here, and everything will be just fine. I mean, again, this is typical of what Sylvester... He's just a nut. A lunatic.
He's like a ditzy blonde, kind of, too. On top of it.
He's just
because he's not paying attention.
He's off the chain, man. He's just, and then for the next few scenes...
Like in the 70s, he probably popping Quaaludes and stuff in the 70s, but anyway.
He might have been doing it now. Who the hell knows?
But, yeah. So
I love, like, any other time you see him, he's driving, he's crying. I'm coming, Mama. Your baby's coming, Mama.
He is good. Like I said, mostly I know him just from the Carol Burnett show. But yeah, seeing him in a movie like this, really acting, because the Carol Burnett show, he mostly just busted up laughing most of the time with Tim Conway and stuff. He couldn't hold it together.
How can you?
Which was
Tim Conway.
Which was what made that show so funny. They just burst out and laugh, and then they kept it there. They didn't. It is funny
when you can get even the actors to bust up a little bit. It is cool.
But,
what's going on next? Back in the hardware store. A lot of stuff in the hardware store is going to happen. There's an alarm system, and he's like,
if we could for emergency use or whatever.
And it's like it's not even hooked up to anything. He tries to flip the switch, nothing happens. He takes a sledgehammer, whacks it off the wall. There's no wires. There's no nothing.
It's not connected to nothing.
Yeah. There is some electric current wires that are like, that were hooked up to it from the bottom, and he pulls them out, and he's going to put them together. He electrocutes himself while he's messing with them. And I do notice this is when we start to see the fireworks boxes in the background.
Yeah, that's right.
But evidently he doesn't notice them.
Well, he's too busy, trying to get out of that hardware
Well, you'd
store.
think, setting off an alarm, maybe that'll bring somebody in, let you out. But no
God.
go. And
what does he do? Put both the power cords together?
Yeah, I think he's trying to get the alarm system to work, and he just completely electrocutes himself.
And that's something straight out of the Three Stooges. I mean,
just about. He backs up while he's holding these live wires into the paint. Paint falls all over him.
I mean, he'd be dead, but they're treating it like the Three Stooges. And, everything's fine. Just
speaking of, they'll be showing up soon. Three Stooges.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Cool. I even heard that they wanted to get Joe Besser in this film too, just because
character.
Yeah, as a character,
because he kind of went off.
But he was already, he was a member of the Stooges at one point before Joe DeRita. So,
right.
He didn't die. The Stooges just kind of were fading out at that time.
Yeah.
So we're back in the plane with Mickey Rooney and Buddy Hackett. And that's when Jim Backus is telling, go in the back and make us some drinks. And he's flying the plane, he's drinking his scotch, whatever. Or I think they say, he drank a whole barrel of bourbon.
And the face on Buddy Hackett as he's co-pilot.
Well, yeah, he's like, here, I'll check you out. And he's like, because Buddy Hackett's sitting in the co-pilot seat. And he's, I can't fly a plane. Oh, what do you mean you can't fly a plane?
Just hold the wheel.
Why, anybody can fly a plane. Here, hold the wheel, put your foot on the rudder.
The plane's going on.
Now, from what I understand, flying a plane isn't actually that hard. I mean, I used to work with a lady.
Once you're in the air and doing the actual,
right. I was told it's a very similar to driving a car, like these little planes like this. When I was in nursing school, I had a guy, he was in the class with me, he worked on airplanes. That was his job while he was in school. He was an airplane mechanic. And he said,
Holy Christ.
He said that pilots just, I don't know if it's true, but like commercial airlines, he said that they just take off and land. He's like, the computers do the rest. Once they're in the air, the computers do all the rest. It's like you just need the pilot to take it off and land it. So
that's how our car is.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's all a pre-programmed flight plan and all that. So
I mean, we got the testing car, so I mean that's why. But yeah.
So yeah,
I love how they're Mr. Howell. That's what
right. Yeah,
he's like hitting the back of the wall, just flinging all
that's
around.
What's going to end up happening. Benji's gonna, while he's got the plane, it takes a dip, and he ends up whatever is it, Mr. Howell, like you said, ends up bashing his head and knocking himself out cold. And not just that, I mean, bonk, bonk, bonk. He ain't waking up the rest of the movie. He's done.
Oh man.
And Mickey Rooney's trying to wake him up, but Benji's trying to fly the plane.
And their faces the whole time are just like.
I mean, and the thing of this, he could probably keep it up in the air, but yeah, I don't know shit for landing this thing. So.
It's hilarious, man. Then we're back to Milton Berle and the Englishman.
Yeah, they start having the argument in the car about England versus America, and I love how Milton Berle mentioned something about us, bailing them out with billions of dollars at some point, which you never thanked us for. And he stops, get out of this machine. It's my machine. I can bloody well do what I want.
The machine.
And he apologizes, and he's like, I'm sorry. If I said anything about England, I'm sorry. He's like, well, righto. Being in this dreadful country, I don't know how you could say anything bad about anybody else's country. Are you saying something against America? I bloody well can't think of anything to say for it. And he talks about our preoccupation with bosoms. Remember that?
Yeah, what
bosoms,
the heck?
Bosoms.
That's all you Americans care about.
If women stopped wearing brasiers, your entire economics would collapse. Your entire economy would collapse.
It's such an odd thing to say. I don't even know where you get that from.
And as they go through a tunnel, they must have gotten into some fisticuffs in the car because they just see the tire come out.
Spinning out of the,
And the car comes barreling out of the tunnel with three wheels, flips over, and they get out and just start duking it out, and their fight is hilarious. It's like a couple of... This guy's supposed to be a left colonel in the military.
But they're fighting like a couple kids.
Like a couple of girls. I mean, throwing sand in the eyes, and... he goes to, I love when he holds his foot and flips him over. And Milton goes to take a punch at him, ends up punching through the glass.
Yeah.
Or was that the British guy? I can't remember. But I know at one point...
A lot of punching through windows, and buildings, and doors, and lots of stunt doubles and stuff, because there's a lot of... fighting scenes, action scenes, and stuff.
Well, at one point, Hawthorne, he looks at his... You can't even see... Blood! And he starts running away from Milton Berle. Of all people in this movie, he's running away from him.
Yeah.
And he goes to kick him, ends up kicking a rock. And it's just great that them two going at each other like that. So we've got that going on.
Characters are so great.
We've got the plane up in the air.
You guys got the popcorn out yet?
Yeah, it's almost time. The plane's coming out. They can't land the plane. Pike, I think, is absolutely sick of
not
listening.
Star Trek, not Captain Kirk.
Not Captain Pike.
Yeah.
Jonathan Winters, he's absolutely tired of listening to this mother-in-law. I mean, he pulls over, he pulls her out. He's pulling her out of the truck. I want you out.
She's holding on for dear life. I mean, and then, she kicks him.
Yep, she kicks him off, and the truck just starts going backwards. He didn't have the brake on, and they are on a very steep incline, and the tow truck's running backwards.
She should have jumped out of the thing. I mean, come on. They're not going that fast.
Yeah, if you just, hit the ground running, and Sylvester's running down the desert highway. I'm coming, Mama, I'm coming.
And his convertible,
right?
With the red interior.
I'm coming, your baby's coming, Mama.
He's got a white suit and black hair,
right?
And he just... that's a so funny character,
right?
It's just great.
In the
hardware store,
since he's just trying to burn the lock,
he's got the old 1940s torch still.
Yeah, with the canister on the bottom, and he doesn't even turn it off when he sets it down, and he sets it by cardboard boxes. All right, and then he's going to go back upstairs and try to hit it with the sledge. While he's going up, he knocks it over. And finally, Phil Silvers, the kid is leading him to the road, the highway.
Yeah, we're walking you through this story, but there's so much.
Comedy's kind of hard to commentate on because you miss some of the funny there's expressions.
That's what I'm trying to say. There's so much little things in between, even every little thing we're saying, that is just hilarious.
But if you can get how much we enjoy it, you're going to love it.
Even from like just a simple car jumping over the thing and seeing his face. Mm-hmm. There's so much in this movie just from beginning. There's never a lull. I mean, it's funny as heck from beginning to end.
Right.
And it's almost a 3-hour movie, depending on which version you're watching. Right. So yeah, it's funny. Give it a watch.
The kid leads Phil Silvers. Yeah, I guess it leads to the road, but from a child's point of view, he don't understand, He leads him, he's got to get through a river before he can get back to the road. And just Phil Silver's face when he comes, it's a river! How am I going to get it? This is a car, kid, not a canoe!
So this kid's taking him on a trip, man. It's
and the kid walks in the middle of the river. He's like, it's not deep! Come on! Oh, God. And we get one more scene of the police.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think Spencer Tracy is trying to tell Aloysius, the captain, that he's got the chief, that he's got some pull over I'm going to solve this case today. Talk to the mayor, get my pension increased, so I can retire with some honor and and
give him a leave,
take my wife on a nice trip.
Yeah.
So that's going on. If we remember back in the hardware store, the whole friggin' thing's on fire now. All right, since these are knocked over that torch that he didn't turn off, the whole basement's on fire.
Unreal.
Phil Silvers is going to try to navigate the river.
No fire extinguisher down there.
There is, but we haven't got to it yet.
Okay.
Because what's cool about the movie is, Phil Silvers, he's going to try to navigate the river. The kid's standing there going, it's not deep. The car just starts veering off to the right.
He's on the other side of the bank, staring at Phil Silvers.
It's over up to the door. And he's like, you rat fink, you rat fink. And he's going
down the river.
And we get one more scene, I think, of Benji and Dingy in the plane, which is doing barrel rolls.
And the camera angle's shooting out with their backs and showing them pretty much going straight down towards the ground and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is coming up on the intermission.
And flashing back and forth with all of this, kind of like climaxing a little bit.
Right, just showing you, the state of disarray that everybody is in. His car's sinking.
His car's sunk, yeah.
And right before the intermission, we get Benji and Dingy in the airplane. They smash right through a billboard. Now that stuntman did that for real. It was supposed to have been paper, and they used some other kind of like a cloth or something different.
Yeah.
And from what I had read, that it caused damage to the plane. It almost caused them to crash.
Wow.
And he said up until that point, the guy actually later died in a plane crash. But up until that point, he said that was the closest he ever came to dying in a plane doing a stunt. Wow. Doing that stunt where it smashes through the billboard. And
we're at intermission.
Intermission ends with every character in chaos.
Yeah, so go get a drink.
Go get a drink, a smoke.
Yeah.
Whatever you need. One cool thing they did in the theaters, if you're watching the extended version, you hear all the police calls. Right. You remember hearing that? I don't know if you got that far or if you remember that. But in the extended version on the Criterion disc, during the intermission, you hear all kinds of police, CB radio calls.
Yeah.
We got this one going here, this one going here. And in the theater, when they played this, Like if you went into the bathroom or the concession stand, they were playing it over the speakers. Mm-hmm. So if you were in the bathroom taking a leak, you could still hear the police call. So it was like the movie's still going on. That is so
cool.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a bigger deal. It was, it was a fun way to do movies back then.
Can you imagine? Yeah, I mean, the way they don't... It's all about the screen now. I mean, and it's... I guess I understand. I mean, you can't bring that back, I mean... Well, you can try, but... I don't think they're going to put that effort out there to do that kind of stuff.
And now
Quentin Tarantino did try,
right?
But
well, and that's his thing. He's a lover of film, and that's what he does.
And that might be what they need to get them back to. People really coming out to enjoy a night at the theater, because more and more people are sticking to their homes and stuff like that for movies like this and all that. I mean, just my opinion.
Well, back then, too, there was no home video. There was no VCRs or no DVDs, of course.
Yeah.
No streaming.
So people had to go to
Right. You had to go to the show if you wanted to, have some entertainment like this. But now that...
So they made it something nice.
If you can go on Netflix and watch this movie, or if you can go buy the Blu-ray and own it, what's the point of, having a film like this in the theaters again? I mean... Or sometimes it was fun to, they would have a revival. And, I think we were probably the last generation to have that. Yeah. I especially remember it with the Disney movies. It seemed like every spring and every summer there'd be a new, one of the classic Disney movies out. I saw all the classic Disney movies at the theater with my mom and my sister.
Yep.
And, then they started, it seemed like Disney resisted putting those classic films on videotape for a long time. I mean, I remember when Snow White came out on videotape, it was such a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
And, now that they are all out there and you can own them, there's no real incentive to bring them back into the theaters anymore.
Unless you make a big production out of it,
which they've done with a couple of them, Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Or they make it 3D or something like that.
Well, and even our local theater, they bring movies back.
The Valley View Theater.
Yeah, I mean, they bring them back early morning showings and stuff like that for the kids.
The thing is, I know it's just they're blowing up a Blu-ray on the screen.
Right. It definitely doesn't have the same appeal and look the same. So I understand. But anyways. Out of intermission.
Yeah, the entract day and the intermission are over, and the first thing we get back to is the hardware store, which is really one of the most interesting things going on right now, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And all you see is a little, a little flame going by. And you realize it's gunpowder being lit up. And he's, since Caesar's explained to his wife, it's okay, it's just a couple of sticks of dynamite.
And this almost is reminiscent of a cartoon.
God.
What I mean?
Yeah. This would be something out of Clouseau or something.
Yeah, chaos just ensues everywhere with stuff blowing up, fireworks.
He tries to tell her, it's in the other room, this is a strong desk. And the flame, he has set up this huge trail of gunpowder. And for some reason, he puts it fairly close to a box that clearly says fireworks, inflammable. And you can see as the flame is going by, a little spark lights the box, and the box starts burning a little bit. But then the fuse goes out. And he's like, wait, I don't hear the fuse anymore. Mm-hmm. So he gets up to go check on the fuse. And fireworks start going off. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's like World War II battle going on. You know what I mean? Pew, pew, pew. And obviously, you would have cops and fire and stuff there, and no one's coming to their help, to their rescue. And they've got to be thinking that. Like, where's the cops? Where's the fire department?
Yeah, I mean, the cops are out there still watching.
They're standing right outside the store.
You think they would come in and say, hey, okay, Chief, I think we got a problem here. Things are
it's really kind of entertaining just to leave them to their own devices.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it just... You can't imagine this. Imagine a bunch of fireworks, and there are boxes of fireworks. It's not just one box. It ends up causing a chain reaction. They all go off. I mean, imagine...
Remember Yosemite Sam when he went down in a ship?
Yeah.
Filled with all the,
TNT and all that stuff with the lit match.
And he lights one and it goes...
That's basically... you're right. Like a cartoon. That's basically what happens here.
And Sid Caesar's face here...
His hair's all sticking
And he's making the faces like he did, basically, which got him popular back in the early days of his, black and white movies and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, this is a great scene in a hardware store. And then they shoot to the plane again, and Mr. Howes, he's knocked out. I mean, and they're just...
And I think
they're trying to save themselves.
Mickey Rooney's character, Dingy, is on the radio.
Yeah.
Doesn't know how to use the CB radio properly, but he's like, hey, anybody down there? We're up here. We're in an awful jam. We need some help. SOS. Mayday, mayday. And he finally gets through to somebody. And he explains the situation frantically. And they're going to try to talk them down. And
gotta love how close they are to the actual runway.
Right,
the tower.
They're not far from it, and the runway's getting all crowded with people. Fire engine pulls up, and who are the three firemen? Three Stooges.
Three Stooges are standing there,
just stone faced.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
they just
Mo, Larry, and it was Curly Joe DeRita who they did the films with.
Yeah, but they're just standing there,
holding axes, fire extinguishers.
That's it.
Stone faced.
Yeah,
but
at least they showed up.
Yeah, I mean.
Back then,
you don't want them to steal the show. It's just fun for them to be in the movie,
right? I mean, all the comedians, and then you got them there, and
right.
Just I can imagine back then in the theater, just looking at it and going,
yeah,
as well.
Right, because when you went to go see this movie, you didn't know everybody who was going to be in it. It was just kind of cool to see your favorite actor in it, and that was neat. And so they find out what kind of plane they're flying. And it's like, who owns a plane?
It's like the Star Wars movie, the new one where Daniel Craig's in one of the storm, and you don't even know it, but he's in there.
Yeah,
and it's exciting.
I guess
it really wasn't for me, but anyway,
something in that movie was exciting for you, huh?
So what happened?
So they're going to get a guy up there, a colonel or something like that, or something like who has a plane just like that, and he's going to explain to them how to. Land it. Mm-hmm. Good luck. And then the cops come on. They're kind of updating us after the intermission on where everybody else is. The English guy and Milton Berle, they've rented a car, like that, and they're on their way. Sylvester's still heading to Plaster City, and
Sylvester's still trying to get to his mommy,
right? And they've shown. Spencer Tracy, the captain of police,
spit it out
on the phone.
Spit it out.
He's got his wife on one phone. He's got his daughter on the other, and he is just holding the phones together. And they're all yelling because what I was explaining before, and you could just tell in his face he is finally fed up. He's completely fed up with this.
That was funny.
And
let them scream at each other.
And this is his life. And now he starts thinking. He's looking at the map, and they're talking about how. There's going to be a convergence soon. All these people should start coming together in a few minutes, most of them. And he's just kind of sitting there looking at the map and smiling, and they show what he's looking at, and it's Mexico. The border's right there by this time. And he's just thinking, God.
Creeping in his head.
If you could have $350,000 and just disappear, start a whole new life where nobody could find you again, and just live like Elvis the rest of your life, would you do it?
Yep.
And that's starting to look real good to him. So that's where I think, I don't think he ever intended from the beginning for that money. But I think as the day has worn on, it's just starting to realize, he's not appreciated at his job.
Right.
His pension's going to be crap. He's got a
family's driving him
bickering
nuts
family at home. What's the point?
Right.
What's the point? Now that you're 70 years old, maybe you can live life for yourself.
There you go. And then then they get flashed to Phil Silver's getting out of just walking out of the river, all soaking wet.
Pulling on the ass of his pants.
Yeah,
he's so
heavy pants.
You hear the cops say, "He's on foot now." And the way he gets back into a car is hilarious, in my opinion. Another one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah. This movie is just, oh my God, so funny.
Yeah, you're right. There's no lull in the fun.
Not at all.
And
they're jumping from it.
How hard is it to juggle all those storylines?
Exactly, to put all this together like they did. I mean, just unbelievable.
And I think it's perfect. There's the guy talking the plane down. And then they go back to Phil Silvers. He's trying to thumb a ride.
And he goes like this because he's mad. He flicks his finger in his tooth,
But who does finally pull over for him? Don Knotts.
Yes.
I really wish had a bigger part in this movie.
The Ghost and Mr. Chicken.
He would have been famous from the Andy Griffith Show by this time.
Yeah.
And, and again, he would later go on to films.
He did The Ghost and Mr. Chicken soon after.
Mr. Limpet.
Incredible Mr. Limpet.
Which I saw numerous times on Channel 43.
Oh, yeah.
Don...
He picks him up.
He looked a lot like my grandfather.
Yeah?
My mom's dad.
Really?
And you look at pictures, and he just reminded me of Don Knotts. So
that'd be cool.
That's where I get my good looks from.
Although Don
always
Knotts
one of
is
my favorites.
like 90 pounds wet.
Well, that was my grandfather.
Was he?
Yeah, he was very skinny.
Wow.
See, that was my mom's side of the family. It's the workman side of the family. That's all.
Don Knotts. Yeah, I love Don Knotts.
Yeah, so he picks up Phil Silvers and is going to help him out. And Phil Silvers is the guy. Is just he's like the George Costanza back. I mean, the guy can come up with lies like that are convincing.
Big old lie and complainer and and as they're taking and pulling off and driving away, the helicopter
police helicopter.
I mean, but like, how did he even get there? I mean, it was literally like
they kind of know where everybody's at. So I mean,
but that helicopter was literally 30 feet away from where he was hitchhiking. If he would have walked 30 feet over there, I know, I'm joking. Yeah,
I guess.
Not joking, but
we're back in the basement of the hardware store, and he's going to try it again with the dynamite. It's just a couple sticks of dynamite. It'll just, because the wife's saying how much she hates explosions. Well, she just had every explosion in the world thrown at her. And she says, please go try the hammer on the door one more time. So he's like, honey, I tried that. It's solid steel. I'm not going to, But he does. He takes a step on the steps, and he's like, "The fire burnt these all out. It's not safe to be up here." And she's again, the wife. Please try. He goes to try to take a swing, ends up banging part of the wood. Yeah. The whole front thing collapses, and he goes crashing down.
Tumbles down to the ground.
He's like, "Now do you believe me?"
All these people in the end.
And these are all supposed to be reasonable, intelligent, rational human beings.
But when money is brought into the picture, they're not.
Right. And
it takes over their brain, and they're just thinking of money.
$350,000 is a lot of money now.
I mean,
I would be doing it.
Yeah.
But see, now it'd be all kinds of gunplay and double cross and everything like that. It wouldn't be like this. And this is what I wish it would be like, the zany 60s.
Yes.
Man.
And I love the next scene, too, with Don Knotts.
It's like, I want to live in, like, every time in the 20th century except the times that I was in.
Why not?
I would love 50,
I love the 80s.
I would love the 20s and 30s. I would love
the 40s. I love the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
And 70s especially, which, that's where we come into the picture. But
if I have to pick...
But after the 80s, is there anything worthwhile?
Not in my opinion.
Not much. Maybe a bucket full of things. But
for technology-wise, but for everyday living, no. Yeah. I want to go back in time. I wish I could. I want to go back in time
and do it all over.
And rest in peace, Glenn Fry. He died today, 67. Yeah.
Damn.
I cannot
believe
all
up
these.
With this year?
I have no idea. They're all passing.
I got to tell you though, we talked about it last week, man. Bowie is still wearing on me, man. It's hard to believe. Yeah. I've been listening to him nonstop all week.
Yeah.
And but I've always listened. I just think I was born in the 70s, and I've listened to him all my life. I've always been a fan.
Oh, there's been so many. I mean, I'm not saying it's as big as when John Lennon died, because that was different circumstances.
I think it's about there.
No, but it's pretty high up there. I mean, because
to me, that's I was just a little kid when John Lennon died. I mean, I was aware of it.
Social media wise, and every site, news, this. I mean, there's everybody's throwing stuff out there. David Bowie, this and that, and I think
this is the one for me, man. This is the one that I feel like hit me the hardest. We went to go see him. We saw his concert, and he's amazing.
Heck yeah, man.
And that was exactly the kind of concert I would have wanted to see, because he played a lot of that stuff from the 70s, the experimental stuff. That's the stuff I really love.
Oh yeah.
And anyway, I don't know how we got on that.
But because Glenn Fry died and passed away. But
that one's still. I'm still feeling that one. I think I will for a while, man. I miss the dude.
Well, we got plenty of ways.
That was very respectful. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's going to happen every now and then. But what happens with Don Knotts and...
Well, Phil Silvers explains to him, first the helicopter's kind of following him, and I think he gets a little suspicious about that.
Yeah, and Don Knotts keeps looking... Don Knotts' face is...
God, does any face...
He doesn't need to do anything but make faces. He's kind of like the Jerry Lewis.
Does any face look more anxious than Don Knotts?
Right. I think Don Knotts could have pulled off a full movie like Jerry Lewis did with no dialogue.
Probably, given the chance.
He's one of those actors that... anyways.
I love Don Knotts. I mean, he was always the best part about whatever... the Andy Griffith Show. Who's watching for Andy Griffith?
No.
It was Barney Fife.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, who's watching it for that?
That's what I watched it for.
So Phil Silvers is feeding Don Knotts this line that basically Phil Silvers is a CIA agent, and you know he's had a couple attempts on his life today, and he explains to Don Knotts, "We got to pull over this cafe. You got to call this, call the operator, ask for the CIA in Washington, and tell them, X-27 told you to call." He's like, "If you're a patriot, if you love your country." And
X-27.
Yeah, Don Knotts is just, okay. And he's telling him, don't worry, you're not in danger. They don't know what you look like. And he's like, I'll go hide the car. Go on. And as soon as Don Knotts walks off screen, steals his car and takes off.
He robs him,
of his car.
And that's another felony. I mean, the dude steals an automobile.
Scenes with Don. I don't know if they were filmed or not, but there was supposed to be a few other scenes with Don Knotts in it. So that would have been neat. That's lost. That's gone because I don't think that was even in the extended one either.
Oh yeah, so and it would have been
right.
I love the scene with
because they all start coming together.
But you could see the back, like because it's like a green screen, whatever they used back then.
I think they just projected it on the screen. That's how they did a lot of movies.
But it looks so weird because the cars are bumping together.
Right.
We're talking Sylvester and Milton Berle and the English guy are like.
What happens right before that leads up to it is they're at an intersection. Sylvester's over here heading towards Plaster City where he thinks his mother is.
Yeah. The
tow truck with Jonathan Winters, they managed to, they saved, the truck. It went down the hill and came to a stop. And they're at an intersection. She sees Sylvester. It's like, Sylvester! And, Jonathan Winters doesn't want to turn around. It's like, he's going the wrong way. Let him go the wrong way. They're so close now. They're getting really close.
Right.
The funny thing is, the movie still has like 40 minutes, but they're getting really close. You know? And so he does turn around for a minute, but he decides, this is stupid. I'm not listening to you anymore, you old bag. And he goes to turn around. And as they're going, Sylvester sees Russell and the Englishman pass by, and that's where this little car chase between them comes up. He's like, hey, Russell!
Sylvester in his red car and them in their blue car.
Sideswiping. Hey, Russell, I just want to talk to you.
And Sylvester, at one point, is not even in behind the wheel. He's holding on to the blue car next to...
And I love how he's in the car. He's like, oh, man, you're bugging me, man. You're really bugging me. Because he won't pull over. Russell, if you don't pull over, I'm going to kill you. They end up running each other off the road and crashing into a creek.
So funny that they bump into each other like that. But they have to in a zany movie like that.
Exactly.
And the cops are across the street still looking
just watching.
Just let all this happen.
And these cars are flipped over, could explode at any minute.
Yes.
Sylvester jumps out of his, runs across the bottoms of the cars, that are flipped over. Russell, what did you do to my mother? She called me. I thought she was freaking out, man. I thought she was going out of her mind. And the English guy tries to intervene and say something, and he just pins him up to the bridge over the creek. Just tell me one thing. Answer me one thing, man. Are you English? And he's like, well, yes. Don't you like the English?
And he throws him over. He throws him over. Don't like the English very much.
And I look at me across, that bloke's going absolutely mental. And at that point, the tow truck with the mother-in-law and Emmeline pull up. And that's where she kind of explains, why didn't you listen? I tried to tell you, you're so stupid, you don't listen. And
Knucklehead.
Yes, a knucklehead. Great.
So, and then they're at the police station, and they're trying to finalize this whole plan.
Right. And this is where Culpepper, Spencer Tracy's going to...
Not Dante.
Huh?
Dante Culpepper.
Dante, who's? Oh yeah. No, not that Culpepper.
No.
And that's a great last name too. I love that last name. Culpepper. Culpepper.
I would be making hot peppers in the garden.
Yeah,
and I'd sell
hot
them.
Culpeppers.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I do. I love them when they shoot to them all in the Jeep riding down the road.
Yeah.
Who's in the front?
Sylvester's driving. The two ladies are in front, and the other guys are just standing.
Yeah, they're standing. I mean,
he's driving like 60 miles an hour
because it's the screen in back of them, and they're just in a vehicle, just going like this,
Right.
But the whole.
And when Phil Silvers speeds by, and there's Jonathan Winters. That's the guy, and he's literally hanging off like this. God, I'm gonna get that guy.
Well, when you're in the studio with doing this, you can do anything you want. I mean, they had. Can you imagine how much fun they had on this movie, man?
It was a long shoot, from what I understand, but yeah.
I would think so. But
how much fun, making movies back then. We did forget to mention when the police are finalizing their plans. Spencer Tracy's character, he intends to steal this money now.
Yeah.
All right, this is not a spoiler. You can tell he intends to let these
bastards
fools find the money because he doesn't know where it is exactly. He's got his gut tells him where it is.
Yeah, he didn't know the information about the big W and all that. That's the one thing
that he doesn't know.
I'll say I seen this about 20 years ago. That's how long ago
Blasphemy.
It was before I seen this again. And the one thing in this movie over all those years that stuck with me, I won't say it yet, but that big W.
You guys don't know what the big W is yet.
Sticks in my head over all these years. But anyway,
and he says that he doesn't want to scare them. He doesn't want them to know they're being observed. So he's like, I'm going to move in alone.
Yeah.
I'll give you the sign when I want everybody to back off. And
back off, Jack.
And he even says, he's like, when he says this, he even looks at the one guy and he's like, I really won't like it if I see another police officer around. He's like, I'll be really upset if I see another police officer. Because he wants them all out of the way. Mm-hmm. So when he gets his hands on that money, it's a short jaunt to Mexico.
Yep.
And there won't be any cops any the wiser. And, it didn't start off that way, but that's his plan. And he's got, all the rights to do it. He can do it. He can pull it off.
Right.
In the meantime, that Colonel or whatever is trying to talk down Benji and Dingy from the plane.
They're still flying around.
And this guy is such a long-winded, bloated moron.
Yeah.
And, General, I just want to tell you, you've been doing a bang-up job so far. He's like, just make sure you hold that stick. And he's like, wait, you are holding the stick, aren't you? And he's like, you mean the steering wheel? And I do love when he says to Mickey Rooney's character, the person flying the plane is really the person I should be talking to. So he tries to give the headphones to Benji, and Benji's like, I don't want them. I don't want them. Don't give them to me. He's like, well, I got to fly the plane and do the talking. And he says, what are you, the hostess?
The hostess. You know what this whole flying scene stuff reminds me of?
What's that?
It reminds me of the Three Stooges when they're flying in the plane. The comedy routines back then, where they're just flying all about. They don't know what they're doing, but they're destroying stuff.
Is one of my favorites.
That's what it reminds me of. This scene reminds me of that, and I think that's what he harkens back to all this old comedy stuff.
In Dizzy Pilots, the only part that really makes me love that short is, you got like Larry in the back, you got Mo and Curly in the front, and they're trying to fly the plane. They're pieces
yanking stuff out,
and they're trying to roll over each other. So imagine you and I in the cockpit, and we're trying to roll over each other to get back.
Yeah.
And as they're rolling on top of each other, Larry just sits in the back and goes, "Hey, you guys go steady." It's so. When Larry gets a line, man, Larry gets a line.
He would get lines every now and then.
Like that.
Yeah.
And, so the guy, he's all wrapped up in the cord trying to talk him down. He's a moron himself. And two great stunts with the plane are coming up. One of them is where the stuntman actually flew the plane through a hangar.
Yeah, through.
And they're really, I think there was like 12 feet clearance on each side of the wing. Not a lot of room for a plane.
Like the Blue Angels now, air races. But this is a little commercial plane.
Right.
Yeah.
And right through the hangar. It's awesome. And just to think that, these guys, in the terms of the movie, Buddy Hackett's the one who did that.
Yeah.
And Mickey Rooney's like, you're trying to kill us! And they actually...
Well, like I said, the old stuff, odd luck,
Without the help of that guy, they do figure out how to land the plane. The guy ends up not helping them at all. But they crashed the plane. They did this for real. Mm-hmm. They crashed the plane through a window, into looks like a restaurant inside the airport. Mm-hmm. And they did that for real. That was the shit. Meanwhile, in the hardware store, oh yeah,
gotta like her all blown to bits.
She's all blown up. The dress pulled up real high
because
the dynamite worked this time.
Yeah, it
blow a hole through the brick wall to the adjoining business, which I think is a Chinese laundry.
Yeah.
And when they bust her, all the guys going...
And the Chinese laundry is basically they got all the clothes hanging up.
Everybody's clothes all hung up on clotheslines.
So if that's how they did the laundry, I mean, I guess they saved money.
So they get out of they come out through the laundry, and he's got his shovel. And the cops are just standing right there. And the one guy's almost had enough.
Yeah, he was trying to go...
Aloysius guy, he was going to come after him.
Yeah.
And
but let him go. And who shows up?
Columbo.
Yeah.
Peter Falk.
Peter Falk is on the telephone.
One of our last big cameos.
Yellow Cab Company, yeah.
And he's great because he's on the cab phone talking.
And you like comedy from this time period? Out of Towners.
Oh my God, with Jack Lemmon.
Jack Lemmon and Peter Falk.
Yep.
Great comedy.
That is a great movie. My mom loves that movie too.
I love it.
And he's on the phone, like the yellow cab phone. And he's, the police in this town are morons. They're retarded. And they're trying to bug him for a carry. He's like, can't you see I'm on the phone? Give me 2 minutes. I mean, this is California, and he sounds like he should be out of, Brooklyn, New York.
California dream.
If you guys haven't watched anything with Peter Falk, he made famous with Columbo, which is a great character. But he was always good in other things,
Towners, too. He was in a movie, what was the dinner mystery kind of movie? You know what I'm talking about, right? IMDb him. There's a dinner kind of mystery type, Charlie Chan type thing that he did in the 60s. A murder mystery.
Really? Okay.
But it was a comedy murder mystery. Somewhat like Clue. But
that's the first thing that came to my head, but I know he's not in that.
I'll have to... I should have looked it up.
It doesn't ring a bell. It might be something I want to watch. So let me know.
Yeah.
I love these old guys.
Ugh.
So yeah, they get a cab with Peter Falk. They want to go to Santa Rosita National Park. Mickey Rooney, Buddy Hackett, as they get. I love how they get out of the plane.
I don't know how he was able to hack it through this whole movie.
Hey, I knew that joke was going to come. I'm surprised it took you 2.5 hours to get to it.
One thing you know about me is I'm king of the dumb jokes.
Ding! You're up there with Rodney Dangerfield, man. The little puns. I love it. They just
goes to say I wanted to start a movie. I'm sorry.
No, please.
I want to have a movie with the stupidest jokes throughout the whole movie. Like where where I was driving down the road and you'd go past the sign that said "dip in the road," and about 20 feet up we pass a guy sitting there just just some dip in the road. Just stuff like that, just nonstop. I mean, through the whole movie. I mean,
that's almost like Mel Brooks humor, but it'd be funny if we
it's Mel Brooks. But anyways, but I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
because I was very intent.
I do love when the plane lands. It's crashed through a building, and you see about 200 people running towards these guys.
Right.
They just take off, and get in a cab. And go.
After all of that,
Jim Backus is still passed out in the back of the plane.
Isn't that funny? How he's just he's still passed out, man.
I mean, he had like 3 lines in the whole movie. I love his inflection when he talks. When he tells them, "Go in the back and make us some old fashions." It's so funny. I absolutely love that.
Hilarious.
Didn't he do the voice for? Did he do the voice for Mr. Magoo?
I think you're right.
Yeah. Mr. Magoo. So if you know the original Mr. Magoo cartoons, I think he did the voice for those.
That's
I'm pretty sure that was him.
Yep.
So we're getting towards the end of the movie now. Still a lot to go, but the 2 cabs get to Rosita National Park first. No other cars are parked there. So as far as they know, the dentist, Sid Caesar, his wife, Mickey Rooney, Dingy Bell, and Benji Benjamin, Buddy Hackett, they all get there about the same time. So they kind of say, we're here, nobody else is here, let's get some kind of a plan. If we find it, we all split it.
Right.
All right? And that seems to be the
starting
case.
to get that back together again with
the
all coming
shares.
back together. Once
the shares.
Once we're here, let's figure out how to split it up.
So they're running all around, and I love how the dentist and his wife, they are covered in paint. They've been blasted. They out of everybody, they've had a hell of a time.
The hardware store was one of the most chaotic, other than Jonathan Winters destroying that gas station.
Right.
I mean,
so they're running around the park,
and this is kind of where you get the first glimpse of the Big W.
Yeah, they're talking, and we're not going to spoil it yet. I don't think.
Okay.
But they the cab drivers are listening in too. They're looking for something because they're why are they all in a hurry to get here? Peter Falk especially. I heard them. They said there's something under a big W. And
as they're saying that, you see it in the distance.
You see what the Big W is, but yet it's not obvious.
It's telephone poles.
No, it's not.
No, okay, I won't say no.
All right. Should we tell them? Should we tell them what it is?
If you want.
All right. It's in the background. It's 4 palm trees.
Yeah.
That have grown into the shape of a W.
Yeah, like 2 are leaning over, and then another 2 are leaning. So it's like one big W.
And it's great with the big, huge widescreen picture.
Yeah.
That they're all standing there talking.
Yeah,
and it's
and
right
in the
there
middle.
in the middle.
And they just can't spot it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's right under your nose and you just can't see it.
Yep.
I think they thought a lot of times it was something that was going to start with a W, something big that would start with a W. Like
because
like a waterfall or a windmill.
Right,
or
because when it started, that's what they were saying. Like, what could it be? What could it possibly... They didn't think that it would be an actual big, giant shape of a W.
Right.
You know?
So this is going to go on for a while. Phil Silvers, he's the next one there. He pulls up like a madman.
Yeah.
And they all see him running around with the shovel. Like, who's this guy? You know? Who is that? Because nobody knows who he is.
Right. Because he just came along later, you know.
Right. Yeah. The tow truck gets there next.
And the Chief's like
with basically everybody else.
Running
so
around
they're the last ones there. Right. Spencer Tracy's walking around. They're like, who's that? You know, and
they keep showing it in the background.
Right.
I mean,
and that's, you know, to make
it's right under the nose
that they don't see it. Yeah, they see Spencer Tracy, like, who's that guy? And Sylvester says something like, you know, how many people are mixed up in this, Mama? You know,
I know, because he's looking and he sees that there's other people involved now.
Right.
Like, where'd this guy come from? Like Phil Silvers,
British guy, Phil Silvers. And I love how, you know, when they're all walking around, they're all trying to be sneaky at first, like avoiding each other. But eventually, you know, the mother-in-law's like, okay, come on, we know everybody's here. Just come on out. And I love when Jonathan Winters, because Phil Silvers is still hiding. He's not showing his cards.
Boy, and all the animosity they get. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, he's like, have you guys seen a little rat-looking guy with glasses? Ugly. I mean ugly. Because it's like, that's his primary concern. He wants to forget the money. I want that guy.
He's pissed.
He's kept that rage going the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, you know, they all finally get to this point, and you think they'd all just, like, beat the heck out of each other, you know? I mean, it's...
Right.
Oh.
When you can get revenge, when you can get sweet revenge, it's worth it. Nothing else matters.
And the Chief, Spencer Tracy's, like, kind of hiding, ducked down
just
in the
watching,
woods.
Yeah.
Trying to find out where are they going to finally eventually go. And
right. His gut always told him he buried it somewhere in this park, but he has no idea where.
Yeah.
And like I had mentioned before, Russell, Milton Berle's wife, doesn't want any part of this. She's thought it's wrong the whole time, but she's stuck for the ride.
Right.
So she's just walking through. At first, she wasn't even going to go in. She was going to stay in the car, but she does walk in. And
doesn't the Chief walk up to her?
Yeah, she goes to a water fountain. She looks up and she sees it. She sees the big W. She sees everybody running around.
Out of all the people, she's the one that
one
spots
person
it.
Who's not interested in it, and she kind of goes. Oh, and that's when Spencer Tracy comes out and says, "Are you okay? Is something wrong?" Mm-hmm. And she doesn't really tell him what's going on, but she's like, you know, they're all looking for something. I'm the only one who knows where it is.
Yep.
And you know, she's like, what should I do? Should I tell them? Mm-hmm. And she actually has a little fantasy for a moment about, you know, God, while they're all running around, how about you and I just go and dig up that money ourselves? You take half, I'll take half. And because she asks him, are you here, you know, looking for it? And he's like, well, yeah, sort of. And there's nobody else in the park.
Right.
But she actually I know she even says something like, boy, if I could go someplace away from my husband and my mother and my brother. Mm-hmm. She's like, I might even have enough to live in a convent.
She's a cute, sweet girl. And the whole picture, she's the most innocent.
She's the voice of
everybody.
reason the whole time, trying to be reasonable, but these people are just tunnel vision.
Psychotic, yeah.
And
gotta love Jonathan Winters. He's got the big old pitch.
Oh, when he finally sees Phil Silvers
in his over his shoulder,
because that's what's going to happen. He, she's talking to Culpepper. Jonathan Winters gets Phil Silvers in his sights, and he's going after him with a pickaxe.
And they run directly under the W.
Right. And as
they're so close,
as Jonathan Winters is chasing Phil Silvers, he stops dead center of the screen. And turns around.
And the big W's kind of like over him.
That's it. That's the big W. The big W.
Cha-cha-cha.
And that's
who wasn't around?
Emmeline, the wife of Milton Berle, she's like, well, it was a nice idea. It lasted 5 minutes. And, they all see it. You know, like, oh, my God, it was right there the whole time. These flower palm trees.
So funny that it would be the palm tree. Like
I mean,
that,
how awesome. You know, just what a great story.
Heck
And
yeah,
they're gonna start digging it up. You know, right here in the park. And like, you know, what if someone comes around? You know, so the wife of the dentist says, "Oh, we could just say it's an archaeological expedition." And there's Sylvester. Nah, man. If anybody comes around, we say you buzz off and we'll bust your head in.
I love his character, Sylvester. I wish he would have had a bigger. I wish he would have been all along the way.
Spin-off movie.
Oh my god.
TV series.
But they start digging.
Right.
And they're digging like maniacs.
Right. And there's a couple of funny scenes. There's one where Spencer Tracy and Buddy Hackett, and I do like it, where they just kind of look at each other. And Buddy Hackett's looking like, who are you? And they're just looking at each other, not real nice at first, and then Buddy Hackett starts smiling, and Spencer Tracy starts smiling, and it's just a neat little scene between those two guys.
Yeah, because, what's going on here?
Right.
I'm here for this. They don't know he's...
I love how the cab drivers have no idea what's going on, but they're just...
they're sitting there looking too. Yeah, they came along.
Just like, dig. And you can tell they're just throwing dirt on each other. Milton Berle gets a face full of dirt. And Sylvester finally like, all right, come on, there's too many people in here. Come on, bug off, man, bug off. He's like, me and Pike can do it. Jonathan Winters, get the big guy in there. So they're digging for a while, and finally he kicks Jonathan Winters out of there. He tells him, come on, man, bug off. You're bothering me. And John's, what are you talking about? What bug off? He's like, come on, get out, baby.
Get out, baby.
Hey, don't you call me baby.
It's so funny because
he just starts digging and digging.
So funny because I never seen him playing this type of role.
Who's that?
From what Sylvester.
Oh, really?
His character. Yeah, because of how I've known him, after this, so...
He's still wearing them tight red shorts, he takes off his shirt, and as he's hitting with the pitchfork, you hear, wham!
Ding.
And he hits something. And it's,
all their faces are looking
with the big widescreen, you see all the characters, their faces looking down. And, there's like a board of wood or metal or something covering up, and there's a satchel underneath. And they pull it out, open it up, and there it is, man. $350,000. I mean, how much fun to be on a real treasure hunt.
So it wasn't a lie, yeah, I mean...
No, it's all there. $350. Imagine just...
What's it? Oh, I know, man. What's that other movie, too? Scavenger Hunt. You remember that one?
I didn't watch that.
That's another good
Didn't they remake this movie, though? Like Rat Race? Wasn't there a movie called Rat Race?
I don't know.
I think it had Mr. Bean in it. And,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, my
and
God.
John Cleese, maybe.
I think you're right.
And it was sort of like a remake of this, but much shorter.
Yeah. No, I do. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, because, matter of fact, I think you're the one who may have told me about it.
I'm not sure how memorable it is since...
Obviously not, since you didn't even remember you might have seen it. But a couple things happened. They, they talk about shares again. And there's Phil Silvers, to make up for Jonathan Winters. He's like, and I think the big guy should get an extra share. And, it's like they should cut his out, because they even say that at one point. Like,
yeah, who are you? You weren't in on this.
So they're trying to count all the people, and the cab drivers are sitting there like they're going to get a cut too. He's like, and so Phil Silvers, he's counting everybody. They're just one equal share for everybody. He's like 1, 2, 3, goes all around, and when he comes to the end, like 17, and. Jonathan Winters is the one who notices, like, you dirty rat, you cut yourself in for 2. No. And so Sylvester throws him in the pit where they've been digging. He's like, just for that, you don't get a share.
Unreal.
And this is where Spencer Tracy comes up and, reveals himself as a police officer and takes the money. Puts it in his car. And everybody's so concerned about being in trouble. They're like, I know we don't deserve a break. They all feel he has
after everything they've done,
and
I would
basically
be scared too.
Yeah. Is there anything we can do? I mean, can't you let us off the hook, or can we get some? Spencer Tracy tells him, well, instead of me bringing you in myself, you could turn yourself in. Juries look favorably on that, and they're like, oh, you'd let us do that? You'd really let it? Oh man,
are you kidding me?
That's awful nice. And there's Peter Falk in the background. Oh yeah, he's very anti-cop in the movie, and
that's hilarious.
So they're all going to pile in the 2 taxi cabs and go to the police station, turn themselves in. And in the meantime, there's a scene at the police station where the police chief, Aloysius, is on the phone with the mayor, telling him, I've got enough dirt in my files to put you, me, the DA away for 20 years. And he's like, and if I don't get in writing with your signature underneath it, Culpepper's pension tripled, retirement with honors, the whole works. I'm going to have, if I don't have it in my hand in 15 minutes, he says, I'm going to have the news reporters here in 20. And so...
It's still crazy.
He's like, there's a word for this. Blackmail.
Yes.
So he's blackmailing the mayor to do right by Captain Culpepper.
Yeah. So Aloysius is still sticking up for him.
Right. And while the cabbies are
him.
driving, I know Peter Falk especially is like, why is he letting you turn yourselves in? What's his angle?
So they start getting a little skeptical. Like, who is this guy? Is he really a police officer? Which he is, but they're still... debating this.
So they're watching him, because Culpepper's driving off first, and the cabs are coming behind him, and they're watching him. He turns the opposite direction the police station's in. And they're like, he's taking the money. Where's he going? He's taking the money. So they start following him, and then another big car chase ensues.
Yeah.
Where, and this is where one of the, I don't know how far you got watching the extended version, but there's a part in the movie where, remember when he's looking and he sees Mexico?
Okay.
And he says something to the effect, you know what I'd like? A chocolate fudge sundae with whipped cream and a cherry on top. And there's a excise scene, and they only had stills from it. They had the dialogue where he's talking to a friend of his. I forgot his name, but he's played by Buster Keaton, who's this character that we're going to see in the movie right here. This is Buster Keaton. And this guy's actually going to help get him on a boat and get him out of here, get him to Mexico, and they're going to go together. Yeah, it's like a friend of his. As the movie stands,
Buster Keaton,
right, who's a very famous silent film star.
Oh yeah,
the inspiration to Jackie Chan. Did all his own stunt, famous for doing really neat stunt work. And like Charlie Chaplin was also, he directed his own films and was very, hands-on. People like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin, they were very, meticulous about their work.
Oh, yeah.
And, Buster Keaton, in his own way, is very different from Charlie Chaplin, but a genius in, very physical comedy.
Right.
Just he had a terrible voice, and when talkies started, he just wasn't very good at that.
Exactly.
His voice was terrible.
That's why even in this movie, he's
I think he has one line. Yeah,
mostly moving around and doing his little thing.
Right.
And stuff.
As the general release film starts, or goes, you don't really know who Buster Keaton's character is. Culpepper's car turns down a road and goes by a dock, and you see Buster Keaton's character, ushering the car into a place, but the cabs are coming down, they catch him, and Culpepper's car ends up pulling out and speeding off, and Buster Keaton's just kind of left there in the dust. You don't really know who he was,
right?
And even in the extended version, the footage no longer exists. It's like a phone conversation between the two.
Yeah.
When he's getting that fudge sundae.
So we're lucky.
It's just the audio.
Lucky to see, if you're a fan of that, of Buster Keaton and stuff, that he's there for a little bit of time.
He had a much bigger part in the movie. Actually, I think I had read somewhere they originally wanted him to be the character that Jimmy Durante, I think, played.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think they were talking about him doing it at first, but I think it was better with Jimmy
Oh,
Durante.
yeah.
I was just like,
he played that.
Kidding?
Oh, he played that perfect.
Yeah, that was gold. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, it's funny and sad that, we still have the audio, but we don't have the actual movie footage.
Right.
But he did have a bigger part, and that part makes a little bit more sense when you know that. But even in the extended version, you don't have... It's not complete, so it's better that I guess that it's just left out. It doesn't really affect the movie that you don't know who Buster Keaton's character is. But a big citywide car chase is going to happen between these two cabs and Sergeant Culpepper's car. It ends in an alleyway, and they demolish the hell out of his car. They basically, one cab crashes into him this way, another cab crashes into him.
Because they don't know he's a cop. I mean, and technically he's
right. Oh, he
on the lam now too.
Right. They suspect him of stealing that money, which actually he is. Yeah. And the cops that are observing this again, they're trying to get cops are observing it. They're not. Their presence isn't seen.
Right.
But it might be the helicopter.
Because you can hear them. Yeah. I mean, see them all still at the police station.
And they mention how it doesn't look like Culpepper's chasing them. It looks like he's being chased.
Yeah.
So they try to get him on the emergency radio. They can't get him. It's Aloysius. While he's doing that, the mayor comes walking in with that letter. Yeah. Because he's getting blackmailed. Because he's scared. And finally, I think they realize the jig is up. He's not answering. He's stealing that money.
Yep.
So Aloysius takes that letter, rips it up, and it's like put out the order, arrest Captain Culpepper. And so after they crash into the car, Culpepper runs off on foot. This old man, Spencer Tracy, who had a stunt double for the ride.
Yeah.
He only did, I think, one more movie after this, and then he passed away. So this was this was the end of his career.
Yeah, when is Spencer? Yeah, because he's old here.
Right. One of 2 actors, I think, who won back-to-back Best Actor Oscars. Him and Tom Hanks. I don't know if Russell Crowe did it, but but before Tom Hanks won it 2 times in a row, it was Spencer Tracy was the only actor to have won back-to-back Best Actor Oscars.
Because he was a very big actor back in the day.
Yeah,
I mean,
he did Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. A lot of comedies. So, like if you remember, like the original Father of the Bride, but not the one with Steve Martin. That's actually a remake.
Yeah.
If you didn't know that, that's actually a remake of a film by the same name with Spencer Tracy in it. And there was also a sequel called Daddy's Little Dividend.
Yeah.
So I mean,
he did kind of a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
He did a little bit of the film noir back then, the detective stuff,
right? Did some horror,
the religious stuff, comedy,
right,
so a little bit of everything.
Yeah, he's got a pretty genre-spanning career. You're right.
Yeah.
But they end up chasing him through a deserted building,
which is kind of
the stairs.
Another kind of a cool scene because it's kind of. You see the levels,
right?
As
the camera climbs up
as
they're running up the levels,
so I don't know.
each other.
I don't know how they did that. If they did it in studio or something, I'm sure they probably rigged it somehow.
Maybe
very cool how they did that.
And
this movie's got to be one of the longest a movie with vehicles in it. The longest. I mean,
probably
without a doubt.
Maybe besides Smokey and the Bandit.
Well, that's true too. But I don't know. Yeah, Guinness Book's got to have something on that too. They have everything. But anyways,
maybe
just threw it out there. But yeah, they're
it climaxes. This whole chase scene climaxes with all the guys because the girls are left downstairs. They're like, "Stay down here. We'll go get them."
Yeah.
And he climbs up to the top level. There's a pretty tall building, deserted, derelict building. It's all boarded up.
Another old time comedy type scene set up, like
and the cool of the camera being able to go up the levels and watching that. And Spencer Tracy gets up to the roof with the satchel of money and starts climbing down the fire escape. And there's like a little... There's some kind of seminar or
something going on down there.
Yeah, there's something going on like in the park down there. And the guy looks up and he's like, "Hey, get off there. That fire escape's not safe because this is an old derelict building."
Yep.
And all the guys are on the fire escape. And it actually starts pulling away from the wall.
Yeah.
And even though the fire escape is back and forth, and
they're still fighting over it.
All they're doing is fighting over the satchel
money. They're not worried about
money.
dying.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, the satchel ends up opening up,
and money flies everywhere.
And all these people down on the ground level,
kind of like Woman in Red.
Yep, all grabbing
Gene Wilder standing up there.
Money.
The fire engine comes up, got the ladder going up to help save them.
Right, yeah, the fire engine shows up with the ladder to go up there.
It's a tall ladder,
and they're telling them one at a time. And I love how Buddy Hackett's like, "We'll go in alphabetical order. I'm Benji." But stupidly, too many of the guys are climbing on the ladder at one time, and it's going back and forth. And
another
you can
old
see
time
the base
comedy
of it,
thing,
ricocheting off there. And there's actually some stop motion animation here with the ladder going back and forth, and you see little stop motion characters of the actors.
Okay.
And that was done by Willis O'Brien, who did King Kong.
Really? Okay.
Yep, he did that. And this is when Ray Harryhausen was starting to, but I believe Willis O'Brien did the stop motion.
A lot of throwback to the old black and white movies with this stuff.
Yeah.
Almost as if the director, producers of this film.
Right,
were from the 40s and said, "Let's make a movie now again."
Stanley Kramer definitely, that's true. And he had never done a comedy before, and it just goes to show how serious he took it. We're gonna do a comedy. We're gonna do a comedy.
Yep.
All right. And as all these characters are on the ladders and on the fire escapes, they all get their own little
funny scene.
They all get their own little scene.
Yeah.
The dentist gets thrown through the building and ends up falling down all the flights of steps.
Yep.
The black cabbie falls and lands on a trampoline, bounces, and lands on a statue reminiscent of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington. And it's so funny because he's just looking up at Lincoln. I think Peter Falk ends up, the other cabbie falls through a bridge.
I like how the ladder's like throwing them.
Yeah. It literally is. It's whipping them.
I mean...
Phil Silvers gets thrown into a clear across the street into another building, like, those fold-out beds that fold into the wall.
Yeah.
He lands on one of those and it folds up. Milton Berle, Sylvester, and Spencer Tracy
all fall
into a palm tree. Let's see. The English guy, Buddy Hackett, and Mickey Rooney get thrown onto top of high-tension wires, telephone wires.
And they're getting electrocuted.
Right, and they're bouncing
up.
And finally...
I think they would have been fried. But
not Spencer Tracy. Sylvester and Milton Berle. Oh, and also Pike's up there. Jonathan Winters, he's up in that tree, too. Jonathan Winters falls into a thing of cement. Milton Berle falls through like a roof of a factory. Mm-hmm. Sylvester lands on a table that's like full of food and goes sliding head first.
And you can tell these are all dummies and stuff like that.
Oh, horribly.
It's so funny, though.
And Spencer Tracy, his branch breaks, lands on a telephone wire, and he slides down like Data in the Goonies.
Yes.
And crashes through a pet store window.
Yes.
And you can tell that it's
bunch of dogs.
It's a loop cut. Because it's a dog licking his face, and it's just back and forth licking his face. Mm-hmm. And then we come to pretty much the end of the film where they're all in the hospital. Every bone in their body broken.
Yes, all with their legs hanging up and casts and stuff like that.
The only last little tidbit I have for you is something I really wish they could have pulled off here, is that they wanted Groucho Marx to come in as a doctor and say a couple of funny lines at the end. Can you imagine if we could have got Groucho? But again, he wanted too much money. And
Groucho was...
that would have been...
He was very greedy. Even reading which I read his autobiography. Mm-hmm. Very greedy. Even at the end of his career. He was
Rob Zombie is supposed to be wanting to make a movie about... Have you ever seen Sunset Boulevard? The old actress living in the house,
it was so
all
long.
secluded.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That movie's about an old-time actress who's living secluded in her life, just living her own little fantasy that she's going to make this comeback and all this. And a writer, for whatever reason, I think maybe his car breaks down or something. I can't remember exactly. Yeah. He stays with her, and he's like writing her memoirs, and they're writing the script for this great movie she's going to come back with. And she just, basically slowly drifts into insanity in the film. And there's a book about Groucho Marx where that kind of echoes. There about a writer who lived with Groucho during his last few years.
Really?
And that he was a little crazy too. And Rob Zombie is also a big Marx Brothers fan. And that's a movie that he wants to do, kind of like an autobiography of Groucho Marx.
Oh my God, that would be so awesome!
An interesting choice for him, I think.
Yeah, but maybe one he can pull off.
Maybe something to get out of that horror genre. Because I know he wants to do other things. He said he wants to do other things.
That would be awesome.
But back in the hospital, we didn't get Groucho Marx. But they're all, sitting there moaning and groaning, legs broken, arms up in the air. Yeah. Some of them are like in traction. Some of them are in things that...
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a mummy case almost, like he's got to stand like this.
Full body
exactly.
cast.
And, they're all, they're all talking to Spencer Tracy like, I hope you get, you're going to get the worst of it. And he says, you will all likely get off very easy because the judge has me to throw the book at. I'm the police officer. They're going to take it all out on me. You guys aren't, And he's like, and he even says, I wish that in 10 or 20 years, because he mentions my wife's divorcing me, my pension's gone, I've lost my job, my daughter's changing her name, and he's like, I hope in 10 or maybe 20 years, maybe I'll have something to laugh about again.
Yeah.
And Buddy Hackett's eating a banana. And after he's done, he just takes it, his hands like this, he just throws it. And he lands there. And then the next scene is you see the three women come marching into they're wearing like jail scrubs, like a jail dress. And they come marching into there, and the mother-in-law is leading the way. And, all right, you all, listen up. And she steps right on that banana peel, falls smack on her ass. And they all start laughing.
Another classic.
And Spencer Tracy, he's trying to stay stone-faced, but then he ends up laughing with the rest of them. And that, the orderlies are putting the mother-in-law on a cart and going to wheel her away, and they're just cracking up. And
who puts a banana peel in there and falls again? Throwback to the old comedy stuff.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
if you can't get Groucho, that's the way you got to end the movie.
Exactly.
On a banana peel.
Yes.
And that takes us to the end of what I consider the best comedy film. the most epic comedy film. Not
great. It was awesome.
It's loved. It's loved
to have
everywhere.
all of them together in this film is just an homage to the earlier works of comedy.
Right, and I get afraid that this movie's starting to slip through the cracks. I mean, film buffs, older people, your parents, your grandparents know this movie.
Yeah.
But I would always watch it when it was on TV, or my dad had it on videotape, and we would watch it. And it was always a treat because it was the only widescreen movie we owned. It was on VHS.
And it's not boring. I mean, it's from beginning to end. It's nonstop.
Yeah, it was like a once-a-year thing. We would watch this movie. If it ever had a revival at a theater, I'd go see it in a minute.
Heck yeah,
if we ever find, I don't care if it's 10 minutes of footage, I'll buy it again. I want as much of it as I can get. And even though it's considered, a very beloved comedy, and it was very successful, I just kind of feel like it's starting to slip through the cracks with some younger people, and I'd really like to, bring it back and let people, just because it's from the 60s doesn't mean,
No, heck no.
Don't be like this girl I work with, all right?
No.
Just because a movie is older does not mean it's bad. I mean...
I think most of these...
We did our list, and most of the movies... I only had one movie that was, post-2000.
Relatively new, yeah.
And that's still going on 20 years almost. So...
Hey, it takes time for movies to become classic.
The only other newer movies that I would put on a favorites list would probably be Mad Max Fury Road, because I really did love that movie.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
There's not many other newer films
I don't know if
that have affected me.
Yeah, I don't know if 20 years from now, if I'll be looking back, like in the 2000s here, early 2000s, what I'll think would be, well, you know what, maybe that is turning into be a class. I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll find out 20 years.
These kids think anything before the 90s. You've got a handful of classic 80s movies, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, Die Hard, Predator.
Yeah.
But after that, I think nobody's watching any of these other movies. Those are the classics and the Indiana Jones films that I think will stay.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the other movies, people just don't get into, younger kids,
I don't know. I think maybe there's a big enough fan group for all these types of movies that it'll stick around.
Right.
I'm thinking...
More optimistic than I am.
Well, I mean...
Horror besides.
I mean, look at me with the 40s movie. There's such a big, fanatical group of people who just...
Yeah, how many of them are like 22, 23, 24, 25?
Well, you know what? It takes you until you're like late 30s, 40s, 50s,
maybe
before you start.
I don't know.
Before you start looking back on history.
I don't know.
At least it did for me.
See, I grew up with all this stuff.
Well, I did too.
I don't think I knew there was color television until.
That's true. That's true.
But I'm different like that. You know? And I think that's where we always hit it off. We always, hey, you like all this old stuff too. So.
Yeah. We all. I think we harken back to our childhood, and it reflects on what we like nowadays and stuff too. So. And
as I'm getting older, just the more that stuff is so much better, and this newer stuff just isn't. Okay. And I don't feel like I'm the cantankerous old man there. I mean,
no.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Hell yeah.
I loved it, and I love that it's nominated for Best Picture. Love it. It's not going to win, but I love that someone would even put that on a list. I love that I live in that world. So it's not, I like a good movie as much as anybody.
No, yeah. For the last 15 years, you haven't really gotten crap. Even late 90s, I can't think of much, but
there we go, guys. This was a treat for us. I've gotten to watch this movie 2 times recently. So I'm tapped for a little while. I'll let it wait a year before I watch it again. But I think this goes down as our longest podcast.
Yes.
About 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Heck yeah.
And that's what we warned you it was going to be. Comedy films are tough to do this on.
They are, but we wanted to expose you, especially Ted, and back to me, to this, oh my God, epic movie.
If you haven't seen it, I don't have Netflix. I don't know if it's on there. Watch it. It is. It's just a laugh riot.
Yes.
And there's no dirty humor. There's no gross humor.
Oh, it's just simple old throwback classic comedy. And, and the group of people they have in here are like no other. I mean, they all work together, and it's a great movie.
What a gelling of so many people. Who would?
So out of 10, we'll give this a. No, I'm just so.
Oh, I think it's
10.
It's
the
perfect comedy. I mean, there's lots of other comedy films I like, but they're all old. But
exactly.
And every once in a while, I think we'll throw one in. So
we'll definitely do another down the road.
Yeah, I think we're talking a Jerry Lewis movie next, so we got to do a Jerry Lewis.
Yes.
I think we already said said, the Bellboy. So maybe in a few months when we're getting that itch again, we will do that.
Yeah, we'll be back to Phantasm next week.
Phantasm next week.
So, and that's, so we got that lined up next, and we'll take it from there.
All right,
but
guys.
back to some horror stuff.
Classic horror.
Yeah.
Angus Scrimm, who just passed away. It's time to do tribute.
Yes.
All right.
So check us out. Subscribe to everything, brothers. Later.
Out.
Yes. End it with a little bit of